My happy marriage didn't last long. We had been married for 2 years, and I truly loved my husband. I spent every day trying to make him happy. I even made sure to take care of myself so he would always find me attractive. But then, I discovered he was cheating on me. John was the love of my life, but now he wanted a divorce. One afternoon, I thought he was at work, but he came home unexpectedly, with his lover. He was holding divorce papers in his hand. Since after the trip we went on last year, he started to explain. His lover sat silently, showing no emotion. When he said trip, I realized he was talking about our honeymoon. We had gone on a last-minute honeymoon when I got a work bonus. John wanted the trip, so I paid for it. It turns out, during our honeymoon, his ex-girlfriend, who is now his lover, reached out to him. That's when he decided he still had feelings for her. What are you talking about? That was our honeymoon, I said, shocked. There's no point talking about it now. I love her, and she loves me too, he replied coldly. I like you, but she's the one I truly love. You've got to understand. Understand? How could I? Did my feelings mean nothing to him? Then he sighed, as if he was tired of dealing with me. You'll find someone better, he said. You probably don't want to stay in this house anyway. We'll be living here, so pack your things and leave in about a week. It was like he was throwing me away, like I didn't matter anymore. John was the one who had asked me out. He was the one who proposed. Now, he was the one ending it all, without taking responsibility for anything. In that moment, all my love for him vanished. Without arguing, I signed the divorce papers. John and his lover left the house without a single apology. We'll come back next week, so be gone by then, he said casually as they left. I felt numb, like my heart had frozen. It all happened so fast that I didn't even cry. The next day, I asked a friend to help me pack my things and moved back to my parents' house. I worked as a nurse and had been the one paying most of our bills since John didn't make much at his job. While I was heartbroken by his betrayal and the divorce, at least I didn't have to pay rent anymore. That was a small relief. Soon after, I found a new place to live and started packing again to leave my parents' home. But then, something unexpected happened. Kathy, John is here, my mom said. It was raining outside, so I let him in. My mom looked at me apologetically, as if she didn't know what else to do. Why was my ex-husband here now? After everything, what could he possibly want? He didn't love me, so he couldn't be here to ask for another chance. Did he want money? That would be just like him. He always hated working and spent recklessly. I went downstairs to find out what he wanted. What do you want? My dad asked angrily. John was calm. I'd like to talk to your daughter, he said. He acted as though nothing had happened. I opened the door and faced him, ready to get this over with. But then he said something so shocking that I didn't know how to respond. John's new wife, who used to be his lover, sits beside him like she belongs here. Why is she even here? This is my parents' house. What kind of person brings their mistress-turned-wife to their ex's family home? It's insulting, disrespectful, and downright crazy. Calm down, John says, as if I'm the one acting unreasonable. His attitude disgusts me, and she just sits there silently, as if this is normal. I don't have time for this, I say. Whatever you're here for, hurry up and get it over with. John gives me a sharp look, clearly annoyed by my tone. This is important. We haven't settled the division of property yet. I'm here to collect my share, he says. Of course, money, I should have known. John looks almost eager now. He really thinks he's about to get something big. Well, you're right, I say, keeping my face calm. I've been expecting this moment, so I'm ready. I grab my purse and hand him 30 cents. Here you go, this is your share. What? John and his wife stare at the coins in my hand, confused. What is this? He snaps, throwing the coins onto the floor. His wife finally speaks, her voice sharp. Are you joking? You call this property? Stop messing around. They're both furious, their faces bright red. This is all that's left of our savings, I say calmly. John's face twists in disbelief. He clearly expected more. There's no way. You had $200,000. Give me my $100,000 now, he yells, flailing his hands like a spoiled child. His wife nods along, glaring at me. I stare at him, completely stunned. Was this the man I married? Hurry up and give me the money, he shouts, his voice growing louder. Then he starts throwing things, knocking over furniture. completely losing control. I stand there, frozen, watching him unravel. This man, the one I once loved, has disappeared. No, this must be who he really is. His true colors are finally showing. I'm so glad I left him. Hearing all the shouting and crashing sounds, my dad, who had stepped out, and my brother, who just got home, came into the living room. Dad froze for a moment, stunned by the sight of John throwing a tantrum, but quickly stepped in. He grabbed John's arms and twisted them behind his back to stop him from wrecking the room further. I explained the situation to my brother, who's a lawyer. Since he already knew about the divorce, he understood immediately. John's new wife overheard us talking and realized my brother was a lawyer. Her eyes widened in shock. "Wait, you never told me your ex-wife has a lawyer in her family," she yelled at John, clearly panicking. I couldn't help but wonder, why are they so desperate for money? I didn't even want to talk to John, but I decided to ask, why do you need the money so badly? You divorced me because you said this woman was the love of your life. You chose her over me and wanted me gone. Yes, that's right, John admitted, completely unfazed. But dividing the property is important. That house we're living in now was the one we lived in together, so we want to build a new house of our own. We also need a car because we plan to have kids. And I want to take my family on a nice vacation too. You know, the kind of things any good husband would do. That's why I'm here, even though it's hard for me. Every single thing he said was selfish. He didn't want to come here? Well, I didn't want him here either. And the worst part? He didn't even realize how horrible his actions had been, and he wasn't the least bit sorry. Also, he added, I financially supported our marriage. The least you could do is give me my share as a thank you to your dear ex-husband. I froze, completely stunned. What did he just say? That he financially supported me? He must be joking. John never cared about work. He'd leave work as early as possible, just to play video games at home. If he didn't feel like working, he'd take the day off, often faking sickness once he ran out of paid leave. He had no ambition to earn more money. He relied on me entirely because I was a nurse and earned a good salary. Sure, once in a while, he'd toss me $100, but it wasn't enough to cover anything serious. Honestly, living with him was like living with a lazy, unemployed boyfriend who just crashed at my place. He didn't do any housework and never once thanked me for supporting him. And now, he had the audacity to claim he financially supported me? I couldn't believe it. I was beyond disappointed. You have no idea what you're talking about, I said coldly. If that's true, maybe you should give me back the 30 cents I just handed you. What are you even saying? He snapped, getting defensive. I turned to his wife, keeping my voice calm. And you thought you hit the jackpot when you heard about my savings, didn't you? Well, I have bad news for you. I stayed composed as they both glared at me, clearly fuming. At this point, my brother speaks up for me. Excuse me, he begins firmly. I'm Henry Thompson, and I'm a lawyer. I'll explain this clearly on my sister's behalf. Only the savings made during the marriage can be divided as property. Any money saved before the marriage belongs solely to the person who saved it. He looks directly at John and continues, my sister saved the $200,000 before your marriage. That makes it her personal property, and it's not subject to division. You, on the other hand, had only 60 cents left in your shared account. Your share is half of that, 30 cents. That's all you're entitled to, so there's no point in complaining. Henry's voice is calm, but leaves no room for argument. It seems my sister worked hard to save for your future, but I believe you spent everything on the woman sitting next to you. John and his wife are stunned into silence. But, John starts to argue, but Henry cuts him off. What I just said, I said as Catherine's brother. Now, allow me to speak as her attorney, he says. His tone sharpens. My client has requested compensation from you. Why haven't you paid it yet? It's true, I had asked for compensation after the divorce, but John had only paid part of it. I had been wondering why he hadn't paid the rest, so I officially asked Henry to step in. Although Henry is helping now, my actual lawyer is one of his colleagues. None of us expected John to show up today, so Henry is stepping in temporarily. With his calm but intense gaze, Henry stares down John and his wife. They fall silent. You were the one who had an affair and caused the divorce, Henry continues. It makes no sense for you to ask for any money. In fact, it seems you spent all the money my sister had saved for your new life. My sister's request is simple: return the total amount you owe her and pay the compensation you agreed to. That's impossible. John shouts. Honey, stop it. We can't push this any further, his wife whispers, trying to calm him down. John, however, stands up in anger and kicks the table. His wife grabs his arm, trying to hold him back. Henry stays calm, unfazed, and simply says the word, court. At that, John's anger deflates. He slumps down and starts explaining the truth. After our divorce, John lost his job. Since his new wife is unemployed too, they began borrowing money. Now, they're drowning in debt and can't pay the compensation they owe me. Desperate for money, they remembered my savings. They thought if they demanded a division of property, I'd hand over half of it. I sit there in shock, unable to speak, as John and his wife suddenly change their attitude. They start begging me for help. Next to me, Henry shakes his head, silently telling me not to listen to them. I feel no sympathy for John or his wife. I tell them they still have to pay back both the compensation and my savings. Then, I ask my brother and dad to escort them out. The past few hours have felt like a whirlwind. Once they're gone, my mom comes back into the room, sighing with relief, and starts tidying up. My dad, still furious, mutters about what a terrible man John is, while helping her. My brother rubs my back gently. You did nothing wrong, he says. What you did today, and even the divorce, you should feel proud of yourself. He reassures me, adding that we'll make sure John pays the compensation. He calls his colleague right away. Everyone at the law firm is behind you, he says with a warm smile. I slump into the couch and mumble, I'm so tired, Mom. You handled it so well, she says, hugging me tightly. How about we all go out for steak tonight to celebrate and relax? Her words bring comfort, and I melt into her arms. My dad and brother agree, and we have a wonderful family dinner that night. Later, with the help of my brother, his colleague, and their law firm, the compensation and my savings are finally returned to me. As for John and his wife, I hear they've been struggling. They haven't had any luck finding proper jobs and are now working multiple part-time shifts to make ends meet. It doesn't look like they'll be buying a house, a car, or going on vacations anytime soon. I've also noticed a change in their attitude. Whenever I see them on the street, they greet me politely. It's a small improvement, but seeing it gives me a sense of peace. As for me, life has changed for the better. I'm now in a steady relationship with the attorney who worked on my case. My brother, Henry, is thrilled about it. He says, this guy is perfect for you, and I think he's right. A year after the divorce, I'm planning to introduce my new boyfriend to my parents. I know they'll be happy for me. Looking back, when John called his lover the love of his life, I didn't understand what he meant. But now, I think I finally understand. My new boyfriend might truly be the love of my life.
The text message from my daughter made my coffee turn bitter in my mouth. Mom, I need you to stop calling. Dad's helping me secure my future. The inheritance is better off with him. My name is Eva, and in that moment I felt my carefully constructed world begin to crack. 21 years of motherhood, and this was the thanks I got. My daughter Reagan falling for her father's manipulative charm, just like I had all those years ago. I set my phone down on my kitchen counter, hands trembling. The inheritance money from my parents was meant to secure Reagan's future, not feed into Ruben's endless schemes. The same schemes that had torn our marriage apart 3 years ago. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Angela, my best friend and family lawyer. Ava, have you seen Ruben's latest business venture? She asked without preamble. No, what now? He's revived Armstrong Enterprises. The company's website went live this morning. You need to see this. I pulled up my laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. There it was, a sleek website promising revolutionary investment opportunities. The same company that had nearly bankrupted us 5 years ago was now supposedly thriving. This doesn't make sense, I said, scrolling through the page. He shut this down after the lawsuit. Unless he needed quick cash. Angela finished my thought. How much was Reagan's inheritance? 300,000. My voice cracked. My parents worked their whole lives to leave that for her education and future. Eva, listen to me. Come to my office. Now. 30 minutes later, I sat across from Angela in her downtown office, watching her flip through financial documents. Look at this. She pointed to a series of transactions. Armstrong Enterprises has been hemorrhaging money for months before going public. These numbers don't add up. He's desperate, I realized. The charming facade, the sudden interest in Reagan's life, the business revival. He's drowning in debt. My phone lit up with a text from my brother Evan. Sis, just ran into Ruben at the country club. He was with Bo Dixon. Remember him? Bo Dixon. The name hit me like a punch to the gut. He was Ruben's former business partner, the one who'd walked away right before everything collapsed the first time. Angela. I looked up at my friend. Determination replacing the shock. I need everything you can find on Armstrong Enterprises' current assets. Every transaction, every partner, every detail. What are you thinking? I'm thinking it's time to beat Ruben at his own game. He's always been good at making people see what they want to see. But this time, I'm going to make him see what I want him to see. I called Evan back immediately. Did Bo seem friendly with Ruben? I asked. Far from it. Bo looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Want me to do some digging? Please. And Evan? Don't let Ruben know you're involved. That evening, I sat in my home office, staring at old photos of Reagan's graduation from high school. Her bright smile, Ruben's arm around her shoulders, my proud tears. 3 years ago, we still looked like a family. My phone buzzed with an email notification. Angela had sent over the preliminary findings on Armstrong Enterprises. As I scrolled through the documents, something caught my eye. A small subsidiary company registered in Bo Dixon's name, seemingly forgotten in the previous bankruptcy. I dialed Angela's number. I found our way in, I said without greeting. Remember that small tech startup Ruben and Bo invested in before everything fell apart? It's still active, and Bo's the majority shareholder. The one asset Ruben overlooked. Angela's voice held a note of triumph. Ava, this could change everything. Get me a meeting with Bo, I said, my resolve hardening. It's time to show Reagan who her father really is. As I ended the call, another text from Reagan appeared. Mom, please understand. Dad says this investment will triple my inheritance in 6 months. He's changed. I touched the screen, tracing the words of my daughter's message. Oh, honey. I whispered to the empty room. He hasn't changed at all. But I have. The setting sun cast long shadows across my office floor as I began to plan. Ruben had always underestimated me, dismissed me as the bitter ex-wife who couldn't let go. He forgot that I'd watched him build and destroy businesses for 20 years. I knew his playbook by heart. This time, I wouldn't just watch. This time, I would protect my daughter's future, even if she couldn't see the danger herself. Sometimes love means fighting battles your children don't even know are being fought. I opened my laptop and began to type. Dear Bo, we need to talk about Ruben Armstrong. Bo agreed to meet me at a small coffee shop on the outskirts of town, far from Ruben's usual haunts. I arrived early, watching him through the window as he pulled up in his Tesla, successful but subtle, exactly as I remembered him. Ava. He nodded, sliding into the booth across from me. I wondered how long it would take you to reach out. You knew? He stirred his coffee slowly, deliberately. When Ruben started showing up at the club again, throwing around big promises about Armstrong Enterprises, I knew it was only a matter of time before someone started asking questions. And what would you tell them? I leaned forward, studying his face. I'd tell them to look into the Meditech subsidiary. He pulled out his phone, showing me a series of documents. The one asset Ruben conveniently forgot during the bankruptcy. It's worth 7 figures now. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the financial statements. And Reagan's inheritance? Is probably already gone, Bo said quietly. But this could get it back. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed, and I quickly handed back his phone. My brother Evan walked in, right on schedule. "Sorry I'm late," he said, sliding in next to me. Traffic was brutal. Beau's eyebrows raised slightly. "The Montgomery siblings together again. Reuben won't like this." "Reuben doesn't need to know," I said firmly. "Not yet." Angela called while we were still talking strategy. I put her on speaker. "Ava, I've been reviewing those transactions." Her voice crackled through the phone. "There's something else. The timing of Reagan's inheritance transfer coincides perfectly with a major payment made to an offshore account." Beau nodded grimly. "He's moving money around, trying to stay ahead of his creditors. Classic Reuben." "Can we prove it?" Evan asked. "With the right documentation, yes," Angela replied. "But we need access to Armstrong Enterprises' current financial records." I looked at Beau. "Could you help with that?" He hesitated, then pulled out a business card. "There's someone you should talk to. My contact at the SEC. They've been watching Reuben's activities for months." My phone buzzed with a text from Reagan. "Dad's taking me to dinner tonight to discuss investment strategies. Wish you could be happy for me." I showed the message to Evan, who squeezed my hand under the table. "We need to move fast," I said. "Before he burns through all of it, I'll set up a meeting with my SEC contact." Beau stood up. "But Eva, be careful. Reuben's more desperate than you know." After Beau left, Evan and I headed to Angela's office. She was waiting with stacks of documents spread across her desk. "Look at this." She pointed to a highlighted section. "These signatures? They don't match Reagan's usual signature pattern." My heart stopped. "Are you saying he forged them?" "Not exactly, but there's enough inconsistency to raise questions about duress or manipulation." Evan paced the office. "We need more. Something concrete that Reagan can't ignore." "What about Caitlin?" I suggested. "Reagan's roommate? She sees things we don't." Angela nodded. "Good thinking. We need eyes and ears close to Reagan." I dialed Caitlin's number, praying she'd pick up. On the third ring, she answered. "Mrs. Montgomery? I was just about to call you. Reagan's been acting strange lately, ever since her dad started showing up at campus." "Strange how?" "Stressed, distracted. She missed 2 important study sessions this week, and—" She lowered her voice. "I saw her crying in our room yesterday, looking at bank statements." My maternal instinct flared. "Caitlin, I need your help. Can you keep an eye on her? Let me know if anything seems off." "Of course. Actually, Mr. Armstrong is supposed to come to campus tomorrow for lunch. Something about meeting with financial advisors." I exchanged looks with Angela and Evan. Tomorrow could be our chance. "Thank you, Caitlin. You're a good friend." After ending the call, I turned to Angela. "How quickly can you get those documents to your SEC contact?" "First thing tomorrow. But Eva, we need to be strategic about this. One wrong move and Reuben could disappear with everything. He already took my marriage and my daughter's trust," I said, my voice hard. "He's not taking her future too." Evan put his hand on my shoulder. "We'll get it back, sis. All of it." As we left Angela's office, my phone lit up with another text from Reagan. "Dad says I should be grateful he's managing my inheritance. Says you never understood business like he does." I typed back, "I love you, sweetheart. Always will." Then I turned to Evan and Angela. Tomorrow we start pushing back. Hard. The university campus buzzed with activity as I parked my car. Caitlin had texted me the location of Reagan's favorite coffee spot where she and Reuben would be meeting. I wasn't planning to confront them, not yet. But I needed to see their interaction for myself. "They just arrived," Caitlin texted. "He's showing her something on his laptop." I found a spot at an outdoor table hidden behind a large planter, close enough to hear their conversation. Reuben's voice carried across the patio, smooth as ever. "See these projections, sweetheart? By next quarter, your investment could double." Reagan leaned forward, frowning at the screen. "But Dad, these numbers, they seem too good to be true." "Trust me, princess. Would I ever steer you wrong?" My phone vibrated. Angela calling. "Ava?" she whispered. The SEC just confirmed what we suspected. The offshore accounts? They're empty. He's been moving phantom money around. My hands clenched around my phone as I watched Ruben show Reagan another spreadsheet. But what about my tuition for next semester? Reagan asked, her voice smaller than I'd heard it in years. Don't worry about that. The returns will more than cover it. A new voice cut through the conversation. Reagan? I thought that was you. Caitlin appeared, right on cue, carrying 2 coffee cups. We'd planned this intervention carefully. Oh, Mr. Armstrong. Caitlin smiled sweetly. I didn't know you were visiting. I just came from Professor Chen's financial management class. We were just discussing investment red flags and due diligence. I watched Ruben's face tighten almost imperceptibly. Fascinating, he said, closing his laptop. But Reagan and I were just finishing up. Actually, Caitlin sat down uninvited. Reagan, didn't you want to show your dad that article about the recent investment scam that targeted college students? The one we discussed in class? Reagan's eyes flickered between Caitlin and her father. Yeah, I did save that article. That won't be necessary. Ruben stood up abruptly. I have another meeting. Reagan, we'll continue this discussion later. As he walked away, I saw Reagan's shoulders slump. Caitlin placed a gentle hand on her arm. Hey, you okay? You've seemed really stressed lately. Reagan's voice cracked. I can't shake this feeling that something's wrong. Dad's promises sound amazing, but they don't add up? Caitlin suggested softly. My phone buzzed again. This time a text from Evan. Bo's contact at the SEC wants to meet. Tomorrow morning. I watched as Reagan pulled out her phone, probably checking her bank balance again. Her face fell. Kate, she whispered, I think I made a huge mistake. What do you mean? The inheritance? I gave Dad control because he said he could triple it. But now I can't access any of it, and when I ask questions, he just shows me more projections and promises. My heart ached. I wanted to rush over, wrap my arms around her, tell her everything would be okay. But she needed to see the truth for herself. Caitlin took a deep breath. Reagan, remember what Professor Chen said about investment red flags? Promises of unrealistic returns, pressure to act quickly, emotional manipulation. Reagan's face went pale. Stop. Please. I'm just saying, maybe you should talk to your mom. She's been trying to reach you. Mom doesn't understand business like Dad does. Reagan repeated the words mechanically, but I could hear the doubt creeping in. My phone lit up with another message, this time from Bo. Eva, Ruben just tried to access the Metatech accounts. He's getting desperate. I watched as Reagan gathered her things, her movements jerky and uncertain. Kate, I need to go. I need to think. As Reagan hurried away, Caitlin caught my eye across the patio and gave a subtle nod. Phase 1 of our plan was complete. Planting the seeds of doubt. My phone rang again. Angela. Eva, the SEC investigator has everything they need. They're moving forward with an investigation into Armstrong Enterprises. How long? A few days, maybe a week. But Eva, Ruben's going to know something's up soon. We need to be ready. I stood up, watching my daughter's retreating figure. Trust me, I'm ready. That evening, I received a text from Reagan that made my heart leap. Mom, can we talk? Not about Dad or money, just talk? I replied immediately. Always, sweetheart. Your place or mine? Yours. Tomorrow after class. As I typed yes, I silently thanked Caitlin for helping Reagan take this first step. The wall Ruben had built between us was finally starting to crack. Now I just had to make sure he didn't destroy everything before we could save it. The SEC investigator's office was colder than I expected. Or maybe it was just my nerves. Angela sat beside me while Bo joined via video call on a secure line. Mrs. Montgomery. The investigator, Sarah Chen, spread out a series of documents. These transactions show a clear pattern of fraud. Your ex-husband has been running what amounts to a sophisticated Ponzi scheme. Can you prove it? Angela leaned forward. We can. But there's more. Sarah pulled up a digital file. The Meditech subsidiary that Mr. Dixon brought to our attention? It's not just profitable, it's about to be acquired by a major tech company. Beau's voice crackled through the speakers. Ruben doesn't know about the acquisition offer. I've kept it quiet. How much? I asked. 8 million, Sarah replied. And since the original ownership structure was never properly dissolved during the bankruptcy, your daughter's inheritance gives her a legitimate claim to a significant portion. My phone buzzed. Reagan was on her way to my house. I needed to wrap this up. What do we need to do next? We'll freeze the offshore accounts today, Sarah said. But we need to move quickly. Once he realizes what's happening, he'll run, I finished. He's done it before. Angela gathered the documents. I'll file the emergency injunction this afternoon. Eva, you focus on Reagan. I rushed home, arriving just minutes before Reagan's car pulled into the driveway. She looked tired, smaller somehow, like the weight of everything was finally hitting her. Mom, she said as soon as she walked in, I need to show you something. She pulled out her phone, showing me a series of text messages from Ruben. He wants me to sign more papers tomorrow. Something about restructuring the investment. Her voice trembled. But when I asked to have a lawyer look at them first, he got angry. What did he say? That I don't trust him. That I'm ungrateful. That you've poisoned me against him. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Mom, I can't access any of my accounts anymore. The tuition payment for next semester is due next week, and My phone rang. Evan. Sis, Ruben just showed up at my office. He's looking for emergency capital. He seems desperate. Stall him, I said, then turned back to Reagan. Honey, there's something you need to see. I pulled up the SEC documents on my laptop, showing her the evidence we'd gathered. Her face went from confusion to shock to anger as she scrolled through the files. This can't be. Dad wouldn't. Reagan, look at the dates, the timing of the transfers. Your inheritance wasn't invested. It was used to pay off his debts. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Ruben. Princess, need you to sign those papers first thing tomorrow. Very time-sensitive opportunity. Reagan's hands shook as she set down her phone. All those projections he showed me, they were fake? Yes, but... My phone interrupted with a call from Angela. Ava, the injunction is in place. All accounts associated with Armstrong Enterprises are frozen. Reagan overheard and looked up sharply. What accounts? What injunction? Just then, both our phones exploded with messages from Ruben. To Reagan. Call me immediately. Don't listen to your mother's lies. To me. You vindictive bitch, you'll regret this. Mom? Reagan's voice was small. What's happening? I took her hands in mine. We're taking back your future. But I need you to be strong because this is going to get worse before it gets better. Her phone kept buzzing with messages from Ruben, each one more desperate than the last. She finally turned it off. The Meditech shares, she said slowly. The ones he made me sign over, they were worth something, weren't they? They're worth everything, honey, and we're going to get them back. Angela called again. Ava, Ruben's lawyer just reached out. They want to negotiate. No negotiations, I said firmly, watching Reagan's face set with determination. We do this by the book. After I hung up, Reagan stood up and walked to the window, staring out at the darkening sky. I have to see him, she said. One last time. I need to hear him explain himself. Are you sure? She turned back to me and I saw something new in her eyes. A strength I recognized from my own mirror. Yes, but not alone. Will you come with me? My phone lit up with a message from Beau. Ruben's at the country club. He's making a scene. I showed Reagan the message. Ready? She squared her shoulders. Ready. As we drove to the club, I realized this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about a daughter finally seeing her father for who he really was and choosing truth over comfortable lies. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight against our own illusions. The country club's parking lot was nearly empty when we arrived. Through the large windows, we could see Ruben at the bar, his usual polished appearance noticeably disheveled. Wait. Reagan grabbed my arm before we entered. What if he... I'm right here. I squeezed her hand. We do this together. As we walked in, Beau emerged from a corner table, giving us a subtle nod. He'd stayed to make sure Ruben didn't leave before we arrived. Reagan. Ruben's face lit up when he saw her, then darkened when he noticed me. What is she doing here? We need to talk, Dad. Reagan's voice wavered but held firm. About the inheritance, about everything. Princess, whatever your mother's told you. Show me the accounts, Reagan interrupted. Right now. Show me where my money is. Ruben's charm flickered like a faulty light. The investments are complicated, sweetheart. You wouldn't understand the... Try me. Reagan pulled out her phone. Because the SEC seems to understand them pretty well. The color drained from Ruben's face. He grabbed for Reagan's arm, but I stepped between them. Don't, I warned. You did this, he snarled at me. You turned her against me. No, Dad. Reagan's voice cracked. You did that yourself. The fake projections, the empty accounts, using my inheritance to pay off your gambling debts. I was protecting your future. He slammed his hand on the bar, making glasses rattle. Everything I did was for you. Like using my signature to transfer the Meditech shares? Reagan's words hit him like physical blows. Did you think no one would notice? Ruben's eyes darted between us, his mask crumbling. Who told you about Meditech? Beau did, I said quietly. He never signed over his shares, did he? And now with the acquisition offer? Acquisition? Ruben's head snapped up. What acquisition? The desperation in his voice confirmed everything. He hadn't known. 8 million, Dad. Reagan's tears flowed freely now. That's what Meditech is worth. My inheritance could have paid for my entire education. Instead, you used it to cover your debts. I can explain everything. Ruben reached for her again. Just call off the SEC. We can fix this as a family. Family? Reagan stepped back. Families don't steal from each other. Families don't lie and manipulate and... Don't you dare lecture me about family. Ruben's voice rose. Your mother poisoned you against me from the start. That's enough. Beau's voice cut through the tension as he approached. Ruben, it's over. The accounts are frozen. The SEC has everything. Ruben's face contorted. You betrayed me too? After everything we built together? We built nothing. Beau replied calmly. You destroyed everything we built. Just like you're destroying your relationship with your daughter right now. Reagan took a deep breath. I trusted you, Dad. With everything. My future, my education, my inheritance. How could you? Reagan, please. Ruben's voice turned pleading. Just sign these papers. He pulled documents from his jacket. One more signature and I can make everything right. I reached for the papers, but Reagan was faster. She took them, read the first page, and slowly tore them in half. No more signatures, she said quietly. No more lies. Ruben's facade finally shattered completely. You ungrateful little... Choose your next words very carefully. I stepped forward, my voice ice cold. Because they might be the last ones your daughter ever hears from you. The fight seemed to drain out of him all at once. He slumped onto a bar stool, suddenly looking old and defeated. It wasn't supposed to be like this, he mumbled. The deals were solid. I just needed time. Time's up, Beau said, nodding toward the entrance where 2 SEC agents had just walked in. Reagan turned away, unable to watch as the agents approached her father. I put my arm around her shoulders and guided her toward the door. Reagan, wait! Ruben called after us. Please, just listen. She paused but didn't turn around. Goodbye, Dad. In the parking lot, Reagan finally broke down, sobbing against my shoulder like she hadn't done since she was little. I'm so sorry, Mom, she choked out. I should have listened to you. Hey, I lifted her chin. You have nothing to be sorry for. He's your father. You wanted to believe in him. That's not a weakness, it's what makes you beautiful. My phone buzzed with a message from Angela. Injunction granted. Meditech shares secured. We've got him. Reagan wiped her eyes, reading the message over my shoulder. What happens now? Now? I hugged her close. Now we start rebuilding. Together. As we drove home, Reagan's phone lit up with one last message from Ruben. She deleted it without reading it. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is walk away from those who hurt us, even when they share our blood. Angela's office was crowded the next morning. Reagan sat between me and Evan while Bo joined via video call again. On Angela's desk, papers were spread out like a battle plan. The Meditech acquisition goes through next week, Angela explained. With the injunction in place, Reagan's shares are protected. The SEC has frozen all of Ruben's accounts, but what? Reagan asked, gripping my hand. He's disappeared. Bo's voice crackled through the speaker. Hasn't been seen since last night at the club. Reagan's phone buzzed. A blocked number. She answered on speaker. Hello? Princess. Ruben's voice filled the room. I need you to listen carefully. Angela quickly started recording the call. I'm done listening to your lies, Dad. I'm on my way to the Caymans, he continued as if she hadn't spoken. There's still time to fix this. I have connections. Are you seriously trying to flee the country? Reagan's voice shook with disbelief. It's not fleeing, it's strategic repositioning. Meet me at the private airport in 2 hours. Bring the Meditech paperwork. We can still salvage. No. Reagan's voice was firm. Turn yourself in, Dad. It's over. You sound just like your mother, he spat. Always so self-righteous. You have no idea what I've sacrificed for you. Sacrificed? Reagan stood up, anger replacing fear. You stole my inheritance. You lied to me. You used me to get to Mom's family money. That's not sacrifice. That's betrayal. Everything I did was for your future. My future? Reagan laughed bitterly. I had to borrow money from Kate to buy groceries last week because you drained my accounts. Some future. Silence on the other end. Then, 1 hour. Private airport. Last chance, Reagan. Goodbye, Dad. The SEC will be waiting for you. She hung up, hands trembling. Angela immediately called her contact at the SEC. They've already got units heading to the airport, she reported. He won't make it out of the country. My phone lit up with a message from Caitlin. Reagan's graduation robe just arrived at our dorm. Should I bring it to you? Graduation. In all the chaos, I'd almost forgotten it was next week. Reagan. I showed her the message. Whatever happens with your father, you're still graduating. We're still celebrating. She managed a small smile. If I can still afford to graduate, the tuition is taken care of. Bo interrupted. The Meditech shares are worth more than enough. And Eva, there's something else you both should know. He sent a document to Angela's printer. She handed it to Reagan. What is this? Reagan scanned the paper, her eyes widening. Your grandfather, my father, left you additional shares in his will. Bo explained. Ruben never knew about them. They're worth another $2 million with the acquisition. Reagan's hands shook as she read. All this time. Your grandfather knew Ruben's type, Bo said softly. He set this up as a safety net just in case. Evan squeezed Reagan's shoulder. Smart man, your grandfather. Angela's phone rang. The SEC. They've got him, she announced after a brief conversation. Caught him trying to board a private plane. He's in custody. Reagan let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for months. Is it really over? Almost, Angela said. There's still paperwork, court dates, testimony. But the hard part? I hugged my daughter close. That's over. Later that evening, Reagan and I sat on my back porch, sharing a pizza like we used to before everything fell apart. Mom, she said quietly. How did you know? When you were married to Dad, how did you know when to walk away? I thought carefully before answering. When the pain of staying became greater than the fear of leaving. She nodded, picking at her pizza. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed. All the times I defended him to you. Hey! I turned to face her. You saw the best in him because that's who you are. Don't ever apologize for having a heart that wants to believe in people, even when they don't deserve it. Especially then, because now you know the difference between trust that's earned and trust that's manipulated. Her phone buzzed. Caitlin again. Graduation rehearsal tomorrow at 10, don't be late. P.S. Your mom's invited to the pre-ceremony breakfast. Reagan showed me the message. Will you come? Try and stop me. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the yard, Reagan leaned her head on my shoulder like she used to when she was little. Mom, thank you for fighting for me even when I pushed you away. I kissed the top of her head, my heart full. Always, baby, always. Sometimes the strongest love isn't the kind that holds on. It's the kind that knows when to fight, when to wait, and when to trust that truth will finally find its way home. Graduation morning dawned bright and clear. I arrived early at the campus cafe for the pre-ceremony breakfast, finding Reagan already there with Caitlin, both in their graduation robes. Mom, Reagan waved me over. The news just broke. She handed me her phone, showing a local news article. Local businessman charged with fraud faces 20 years. They're calling it one of the biggest investment fraud cases in the state, Caitlin added, scrolling through her own phone. Reagan's hands fidgeted with her coffee cup. His lawyer called this morning, asked if I'd speak at his sentencing hearing next month. What did you say? I told him I'd think about it. She looked up at me. Would you come with me if I do? Of course. I squeezed her hand. Whatever you decide. Angela arrived carrying a thick envelope. Sorry I'm late, but you both need to see this. She pulled out documents showing the Meditech acquisition had closed early. The shares were now worth even more than expected. 10 million, Angela announced. Reagan's portion is just over 4 million. Reagan's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. What? The tech company fast-tracked the deal when they heard about the fraud investigation. They wanted to protect their investment. 4 million, Reagan whispered. I could pay for med school, help other students, start a scholarship fund. Already thinking about helping others? I smiled. That's my girl. Caitlin checked her watch. We should head to the auditorium. They want graduates lined up in 30 minutes. As we walked across campus, I noticed Reagan kept checking her phone. Expecting a call? Dad's lawyer again. He says Dad wants to see me before the ceremony. We all stopped walking. He's out on bail until sentencing, Angela explained. But Reagan, you don't have to. I want to. Reagan straightened her graduation cap. One last time, to say what I need to say. Where is he? I asked. Waiting in the campus garden. We found Ruben sitting on a bench, looking smaller somehow in the morning light. When he saw Reagan in her graduation robe, something flickered across his face. Pride? Regret? Maybe both. Princess, don't. Reagan held up her hand. You don't get to call me that anymore. He deflated visibly. Reagan then. I just wanted to say, no, Dad. For once, you're going to listen. Reagan's voice was steady. I used to think you hung the moon. Every broken promise, every manipulation, I made excuses for all of it. But now I see you clearly. Everything I did was for yourself. She cut him off. Not for me. Never for me. Ruben stood up, reaching for her hand, but she stepped back. The funny thing is, Reagan continued, you actually gave me something valuable in the end. You taught me what real love looks like. It looks like Mom, fighting for me even when I couldn't see the truth. It looks like Uncle Evan and Uncle Bo, protecting what Grandpa left for my future. It looks like Caitlin and Angela, standing by us through everything. Tears rolled down Ruben's cheeks. Reagan, please. I forgive you, she said quietly. Not for you, but for me. because I don't want to carry this anger anymore. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or trusting you again. You're my daughter, and you're my father, but that's not a blank check to keep hurting me. She straightened her graduation gown. Goodbye, Dad. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. As she turned to walk away, Reuben called after her. Will you at least save me a seat at the ceremony? Reagan paused but didn't turn around. No, those seats are for people who helped me get here. You're not one of them. We walked away, leaving him on the bench. Angela squeezed my arm before heading to find her seat in the auditorium. You okay? I asked Reagan as we approached the lineup area. She smiled, and for the first time in months, it reached her eyes. Better than okay. I feel free. The graduation march music started playing inside the auditorium. Mom? Reagan hugged me tight. Thank you for never giving up on me. Never could, never will. I straightened her cap one last time. Now go show the world what you're made of. As she took her place in line, I saw not just my daughter, but a woman who had faced betrayal and emerged stronger, who had learned that sometimes the hardest lessons come from those we trust most, but that those lessons don't have to break us. The doors to the auditorium opened, and the graduation procession began. Reagan turned back one last time, giving me a bright smile and a thumbs up. Some victories aren't about winning or losing. They're about finding the strength to write your own story, even when others try to write it for you. This is the one, Reagan said, walking into the bright office space. It's perfect. I followed her in, taking in the large windows and modern furniture. The sign painter was already working on the frosted glass door. Montgomery Foundation, Empowering Education. The conference room can fit 20 people, she continued, practically bouncing with excitement. Perfect for board meetings and scholarship interviews. Angela walked in behind us, carrying a stack of legal documents. Everything's finalized. The foundation is officially registered. Reagan ran her fingers along the sleek desk that would be hers. I still can't believe this is real. Believe it, Evan said, walking in with a box of supplies. You've earned this. My phone buzzed. A text from Bo. Just got the final numbers from Meditech. The shares are worth even more than expected. Reagan's foundation is set for decades. Uncle Bo says hi. I showed Reagan the message. And congratulations. Caitlin arrived with coffee for everyone. The first scholarship applications are already coming in. Word spreads fast when you offer full rides to med school. Speaking of which, Angela pulled out another document. The judge wanted you to see this before tomorrow's sentencing hearing. Reagan took the paper, reading it carefully. Dad wrote this? His complete confession. Angela nodded. He admitted everything. The fraud, the manipulation, all of it. The judge will probably reduce his sentence because of it. Are you still planning to speak at the hearing? I asked. Reagan set down the confession. Yes, I need to say my piece. But first, she pulled out a folder of her own. We have our first scholarship recipient to select. We gathered around the conference table. Me, Angela, Evan, Caitlin, with Bo joining on video call. Reagan stood at the head of the table, spreading out applications. This one. She pointed to a particular file. Sarah Chen's daughter. Her father left them with nothing but debt. She wants to study business law to help other families avoid financial fraud. Poetic justice, Bo commented from the screen. It's not just about the money, Reagan continued. We're offering mentorship, internships, a support system. Everything I wished I had when I was trying to figure out who to trust. A knock at the door interrupted us. The sign painter had finished. Montgomery Foundation gleamed in elegant gold letters. Perfect timing, Caitlin said. The local news crew will be here in an hour for the official opening. Reagan straightened her blazer, looking suddenly nervous. Mom, will you help me practice my speech? Everyone else tactfully left the room, giving us privacy. What if I freeze up? Reagan paced. What if people only see me as the daughter of a convicted fraudster? Hey, I caught her shoulders. They'll see you for exactly who you are. a strong woman who turned pain into purpose, who's using her inheritance exactly how your grandparents would have wanted, to help others. She hugged me tight. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to. My phone buzzed with a message from the prison chaplain. Reuben would like to make amends when Reagan is ready. I showed her the message. Maybe someday, she said quietly. But right now, I have more important things to focus on. The news crew arrived early. As they set up their cameras, Reagan stood at her desk, smoothing down her blazer one last time. Ready? I asked. She picked up the first scholarship award letter, the one for Sarah Chen's daughter. Ready. The cameras started rolling and Reagan began to speak, her voice clear and confident. The Montgomery Foundation was born from a simple truth, that trust once broken can be rebuilt into something stronger. Our mission is to help students who have faced financial hardship or betrayal to not just survive, but thrive. I watched my daughter shine in front of those cameras, turning her story of betrayal into a beacon of hope for others. This wasn't just an ending, it was a beginning. Not just for Reagan, but for every student who would walk through these doors seeking help. The foundation would be her legacy, not her father's betrayal. Her story would be one of rebuilding, not breaking. And as I watched her answer questions with grace and wisdom beyond her years, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. Last question, the reporter said. What would you say to others who have faced similar betrayals? Reagan caught my eye before answering. I'd tell them that your story doesn't end with the betrayal. It begins with what you choose to build from the ashes. Sometimes the strongest foundations are built on the ruins of what we thought would break us. And sometimes the best way to heal a broken trust is to become someone others can trust in turn.
The numbers danced before my eyes, matching one by one, like some cosmic joke coming to life. 6, 12, 24, 33, 41, 47. I must have checked those numbers 50 times before my hands started shaking so badly I dropped my phone. My name is Savannah, and I just won $8.2 million in the state lottery. Helen, I screamed into my phone the moment my best friend picked up. I won. I actually won. Won what? The battle against your mom's guilt trips? Helen's laugh crackled through the speaker. The lottery. The actual lottery. I'm not kidding. Get over here now. 20 minutes later, Helen burst through my apartment door without knocking, still wearing her scrubs from her hospital shift. Show me, she demanded, practically tackling me on my couch. We spent the next hour screaming, jumping around my tiny living room, and planning all the ways this money could change lives. Not just mine, others too. I can finally start that women's entrepreneurship fund I've been dreaming about, I said, my mind racing with possibilities. Help other women break free from. My phone buzzed. Mom's face appeared on the screen. Honey, her voice was syrupy sweet, the tone she always used when she wanted something. Your father and I just saw the announcement. We're coming over. Before I could protest, she hung up. Helen squeezed my hand. Want me to stay? I nodded. Please. 30 minutes later, my parents arrived. Dad's usually stern face was lit up with an unfamiliar smile, and Mom was practically bouncing as she hugged me. Our prayers have been answered, Mom exclaimed, sitting down on my second-hand couch like she owned it. This is exactly what the family business needs. My stomach dropped. What? The business, sweetheart. Dad jumped in, his voice unusually animated. We've been struggling since the recession hit. This is perfect timing. We can expand the warehouse, hire more staff. Wait, I interrupted, my voice sharper than intended. I haven't even decided what I'm doing with the money yet. Mom's smile faltered. What do you mean? Of course you'll invest in the family business. It's your inheritance, anyway. I was actually thinking of starting a community fund, I said carefully, to help women entrepreneurs get their start. A what? Dad's smile vanished. Savannah, this is family we're talking about. The business your grandfather built from nothing. The business that's been bleeding money for years, I countered. The one you refuse to modernize despite everyone's advice. Don't be selfish, Mom snapped, her words cutting through the air like a knife. Family comes first, always. Helen cleared her throat. Maybe Savannah needs time to think things through. It's a lot of money. With all due respect, Mom interrupted, not even looking at Helen. This is a family matter. Helen stays, I said firmly. And this isn't a family matter. It's my money, my decision. Dad stood up, his face darkening. Your grandfather would be ashamed. We raised you better than this. Better than what? I shot back, standing too. Better than wanting to help others? Better than making my own choices? You're being ridiculous, Mom said, her voice trembling. Think about your father's reputation in the community. Think about your sister Hope's future, about Tyron's. I am thinking, I cut in. I'm thinking about all the women in our community who never get a chance, who have great ideas but no support, who get told family first until their dreams die. The silence that followed was deafening. Well, Mom finally said, gathering her purse, I see you've made your choice. Don't come crying to us when you realize your mistake. They left without another word, the door slamming behind them. I collapsed onto the couch, my hands shaking again, but for entirely different reasons. Helen sat beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. You okay? No, I admitted, wiping away angry tears. But I will be. You know what the worst part is? They didn't even ask what I wanted. Not once. Just assumed they could decide for me, like always. So what are you going to do? I took a deep breath, straightening my shoulders. Exactly what I said. I'm starting that fund, and I'm going to make it so successful that they'll have to acknowledge that I made the right choice. Helen grinned. Now that sounds like a plan I can get behind. My phone buzzed again. A text from my younger brother Tyron. Just heard what happened. Mom and Dad are wrong. Do what you need to do. I've got your back. I smiled, feeling stronger already. Sometimes the family you choose understands you better than the family you're born into. And sometimes doing the right thing means being brave enough to stand alone. At least, I thought, looking at Helen and Tyron's message, I wasn't entirely alone. The first family dinner after the lottery win felt like walking into a minefield. I almost didn't go, but Tyron insisted. They're planning something, he warned over the phone that morning. Hope's been acting weird, and Mom's been cooking all day. You know she only makes her special lasagna when she wants something. He wasn't wrong. The moment I walked into my parents' house, the smell of Mom's famous lasagna hit me like a warm, manipulative hug. Savannah, Hope rushed to greet me, her smile too bright. We weren't sure you'd come. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, noting how she was wearing her business casual outfit, the one she usually saved for important meetings. Definitely not a good sign. Dad barely looked up from his newspaper when I entered the living room, but Mom emerged from the kitchen, wearing her pearl necklace, another red flag. She only wore those pearls when she needed to remind us of our family legacy. Perfect timing, Mom chirped. Dinner's ready. The tension around the dining table was thick enough to cut with a knife. Tyron sat next to me, occasionally squeezing my hand under the table when things got particularly uncomfortable. So, Hope started, carefully cutting her lasagna. I've been doing some research about family business investments. Hope, I warned. Just hear me out, she pressed. With proper investment, we could triple the business's value in 5 years. I've prepared a presentation. You prepared a presentation for dinner. I couldn't help but laugh. Seriously. This isn't a joke, Savannah, Dad finally spoke, putting down his fork. This is about securing our family's future. No, I countered. This is about controlling my choices. Again, Mom dabbed her lips with her napkin. Remember when you wanted to study art in college? We guided you toward business school instead, and look how well that turned out. Guided me, I scoffed. You threatened to cut me off completely if I didn't do what you wanted. We were protecting you, Mom insisted. Like you protected me when I wanted to start my own boutique. Hope suddenly interjected, surprising everyone. Or how you protected Tyron when he wanted to take that job in Seattle. Mom's face reddened. That's different, is it? Tyrone spoke up. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks exactly the same. Enough. Dad's fist hit the table, making the plates rattle. Savannah, you have a responsibility to this family. Your grandfather is dead, I finished firmly. And I'm not him. I'm not you either, Dad. I have my own plans, my own vision. Oh yes, your little charity project, Mom said dismissively. It's not charity, I shot back. It's investment in real people, real businesses. I've already met with financial advisors and lawyers. The framework is ready. You what? Dad's face turned purple. Without consulting us? I'm 28 years old. I don't need your permission. Hope leaned forward. But think about what this means for the family name. The family name. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. You mean the same family name that's becoming synonymous with outdated practices and failed business strategies. The same family business that's losing contracts because you won't modernize or adapt. How dare you? Dad started. No, how dare you? I was shaking now, but I couldn't stop. You want to know my plans? Fine. I'm starting a fund that will support women entrepreneurs in our community. Real support, not just money, but mentorship, networking, resources. And I'm announcing it at the Chamber of Commerce meeting next week. The silence that followed was deafening. You can't do this, Mom whispered. Watch me. Tyrone stood up too. Actually, I want to help. I've been learning about sustainable business practices, and I think… Sit down, Dad ordered. No. Tyrone replied quietly. I'm done sitting down. Hope looked between us all, conflict clear on her face. Maybe we should at least hear what Savannah has planned. Hope, Mom gasped. I'm just saying. Enough, Dad roared. Savannah, if you go through with this, you're no longer welcome in this house. I grabbed my purse, fighting back tears. Then I guess this is goodbye. Tyrone followed me to the door. I'll call you tomorrow, he whispered. We'll figure this out. As I drove away, my phone buzzed with a text from Hope. I don't agree with how you're doing this, but I respect your courage. Be careful. I pulled over, finally letting the tears fall. My hands were shaking as I called Helen. They're never going to forgive me, I sobbed when she answered. Maybe not, she replied gently. But sometimes being right feels worse than being wrong. Come over, I've got wine and those terrible romance movies you love. I smiled through my tears, already turning toward her place. Sometimes family isn't about who shares your name. It's about who shares your vision. And right now, my vision was crystal clear, even if the path there wasn't. Your mission statement needs work, Helen said, red pen hovering over my draft. It sounds too apologetic. We were sitting in my newly rented office space. Nothing fancy, just a converted warehouse unit with exposed brick walls and huge windows. But it felt like possibility. What about empowering women entrepreneurs through strategic investment and mentorship? I suggested. Better. Helen scribbled notes. More confident. A knock interrupted us. Tyrone poked his head in, grinning. Your first applicant is here. My heart jumped. Already? A young woman in a crisp linen blazer followed him in. Her natural hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and she carried a worn leather portfolio that had seen better days. I'm Adeline, she said, extending her hand. I know I'm early, but I couldn't wait. I've been following your social media announcements about the fund. Please, sit. I gestured to the second-hand couch I'd bought last week. Tell me about your business idea. Adeline's eyes lit up as she opened her portfolio. I call it Second Skin Sustainable Fashion. We take discarded luxury garments and transform them into new pieces, maintaining their high-end appeal while promoting sustainability. She spread out sketches and business projections. Her passion was infectious, her research thorough. This was exactly what I'd been hoping for. The problem is, she continued, traditional lenders don't take sustainable fashion seriously. They want fast fashion profits, like my family's warehouses full of cheap knockoffs, I muttered. What? Nothing. I shook my head. Tell me more about your target market. An hour later, Helen and I watched Adeline leave, both of us buzzing with excitement. She's perfect, Helen declared. Exactly the kind of entrepreneur you want to support. My phone buzzed, another voicemail from Dad. I played it on speaker. Savannah, this has gone far enough. You're embarrassing the family. The business community is talking. Your mother can barely show her face at church. If you don't stop this nonsense immediately. I deleted it before he could finish. Wow, Helen whistled. He's really pulling out all the stops. You should hear the ones from Mom, I sighed. All about how I'm breaking her heart and destroying our legacy. Tyron, who'd been quiet, suddenly spoke up. You know what's ironic? Dad's latest shipment of knockoff handbags just got seized at customs. The business is in worse shape than they're letting on. What? I spun around. How do you know? I still help with the books. Remember, they're desperate for your money, Savannah. More than they're admitting. My phone buzzed again. A text from Hope. Mom's organizing a family intervention. Don't come to Sunday dinner unless you want a guilt trip from every aunt and uncle in the state. Great, I groaned. Now they're mobilizing the entire extended family. Good thing we're mobilizing too, a new voice said. We all turned to see Mila, the business mentor I'd hired, standing in the doorway. Her gray-streaked hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and she carried a stack of files. I've got 15 more applications from women entrepreneurs, she announced, dropping the files on my desk. Words spreading fast, I flipped through the applications, my excitement growing. Tech startups, artisanal food businesses, eco-friendly cleaning services. Each one unique, each one promising. This is really happening, I breathed. It sure is, Mila smiled. And wait until you see tomorrow's business journal. She pulled out her tablet, showing us the headline. Local heiress breaks family tradition to support women entrepreneurs. They interviewed me. I grabbed the tablet. They interviewed Adeline too, Mila said. She's already becoming our poster child for sustainable business practices. My phone exploded with notifications. Apparently, the article had just gone live. Messages from my parents started pouring in. How dare you air our family business in public? Dad's text read. I raised you better than this, Mom wrote. But mixed in with their messages was one from an unknown number. My daughter showed me your article. I've been running my business from my garage for 3 years. Can we talk? Then another. Is it true you're funding women-owned businesses? I have a patent pending. And another. Finally, someone understanding what we need. Tears blurred my vision as the messages kept coming. You okay? Helen asked softly. Yeah, I wiped my eyes. I knew there was a need, but seeing it like this is bigger than your family drama now, Mila said firmly. These women need you. Are you ready? I looked around at my support system. Helen with her red pen, Tyron with his insider knowledge, Mila with her experience. Then I thought of Adeline's passionate pitch and all the other women waiting for their chance. I'm ready, I said, straightening my shoulders. Let's change some lives. Your sister's been sitting in her car outside for 20 minutes, Helen announced, peering through the office blinds. I looked up from the grant application I was reviewing. Sure enough, Hope's silver SUV was parked across the street, her silhouette visible in the driver's seat. Should we call security? Mila asked, only half joking. No, I sighed. I'll handle it. The spring air was crisp as I crossed the street. Hope rolled down her window as I approached, looking uncomfortable in her corporate suit. This isn't another intervention attempt, is it? I asked. No, She hesitated. Can we talk? Somewhere private? 5 minutes later, we were sitting in my office. Hope perched awkwardly on the edge of the couch, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. Mom and Dad don't know I'm here, she blurted out. They'd kill me if they knew. Okay. I saw Adeline's collection launch yesterday. Hope continued. The sustainable fashion line you funded. It's amazing, Savannah. The press coverage alone. I know, I smiled, thinking of Adeline's triumphant face at the launch party. She's already got orders from 3 major retailers. That's actually why I'm here. Hope took a deep breath. The family business is in trouble. Serious trouble. Tyron mentioned the customs issue. It's worse than that. Hope interrupted. Much worse. Dad's latest shipment wasn't just seized. He's facing potential charges for trademark infringement. And the bank's threatening to call in their loans. My stomach dropped. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because Dad's too proud, and Mom's in denial. But that's not all. Hope leaned forward. I've been doing research on your fund. The businesses you're supporting, they're actually making money. Real money. While our family's stuck in the same old patterns, you're actually building something sustainable. That's the point, I said. We provide more than just money. We offer mentorship, networking. I want in, Hope blurted out. I blinked. What? Not as a recipient, she clarified quickly. As a mentor. Before I joined the family business, I got my MBA. I know about marketing, about brand development. I could help. Before I could respond, Tyron burst into the office, his face pale. Savannah, you need to see this. He thrust his phone at me. It was a local news website, featuring a headline that made my blood run cold. Blake family business under investigation. Federal agents raid warehouse. Hope's hand flew to her mouth. Oh God, it's happening already. My phone started ringing. Mom's number flashing on the screen. I answered on speaker. How could you do this to us? She sobbed. Was this your plan all along? To destroy your father's business? What? Mom, I had nothing to do with. First you abandon us. Then you start that ridiculous fund. And now this? Your father's being questioned by federal agents. Mom, stop. Hope interrupted. Savannah didn't cause this. We did this to ourselves. Hope? What are you doing there? Are you betraying us too? Mila, who'd been quietly observing, stepped forward. Mrs. Blake, I'm Mila Rose, your daughter's business advisor. Perhaps we could schedule a meeting to discuss some potential solutions. Solutions? Mom's voice turned bitter. The only solution is for Savannah to come home and help save what's left of our family's legacy. Actually, Tyron said, I think Hope's right. Maybe it's time for the family business to evolve. The silence on the other end was deafening. Mom? I tried. Your father will never forgive this, she whispered, before hanging up. Hope buried her face in her hands. This is a nightmare. No, I said firmly. This is an opportunity. Hope, you said you want to help? Prove it. Help me show them there's a better way to do business. How? Start by meeting our entrepreneurs. See what they're building. Maybe there's a way to transform the family business into something we can all be proud of. Mila nodded approvingly. I have a workshop tomorrow. 10 women launching their businesses. Why don't you both come? Hope looked uncertain, but Tyron grinned. Count me in. Someone needs to document this for future family therapy sessions. Despite everything, I laughed. Looking at my siblings, Hope with her MBA and hidden dreams, Tyron with his quiet wisdom, I realized maybe this crisis was exactly what our family needed. You know Dad's going to fight this every step of the way, Hope warned. Probably, I agreed. But he can't fight success, and that's exactly what we're going to show him. My phone buzzed with a text from Helen. Just heard about your dad, coming over with emergency pizza and wine. Also, Adeline called. Wait until you hear her latest idea. I smiled. Sometimes the family you choose helps you fix the family you're born with. And sometimes it takes a crisis to build something better. The door to my office crashed open with such force that the Women's Empowerment Fund plaque fell off the wall. Dad stormed in, his face redder than I'd ever seen it, waving a newspaper. Is this what you wanted? He shouted, throwing the paper on my desk. To see your father in handcuffs on the front page. Dad, do you have any idea what this has done to our reputation? Your mother can't even go to the grocery store without people whispering. Hope and Tyron, who'd been in a meeting with me, stood up protectively, but I waved them back down. This confrontation had been brewing for weeks. Maybe, I said carefully, people are whispering because the business was selling knockoff products. Not because I started a legitimate investment fund. Don't you dare take that tone with me, he growled. I built that business to give you children opportunities. Opportunities, Hope suddenly interjected. Like when you told me I couldn't start my own boutique because it would compete with family interests? Dad turned on her. You too. Has Savannah corrupted everyone in this family? Actually, Tyron spoke up. Savannah's the only one being honest about what this family needs. Honest? Dad laughed bitterly. You want honest? Fine. The business is finished. The bank's foreclosing. The suppliers have blacklisted us. And your mother's having anxiety attacks. Happy now? My heart clenched. Dad, sit down, please. Let's talk about this. Talk? Like you talked to us before starting this fund, before giving money to strangers instead of your own family. Those strangers are building successful, legal businesses, I countered. Adeline's sustainable fashion line just got picked up by 3 major retailers. Maria's tech startup just secured additional venture funding. These women are tearing our family apart. He slammed his fist on my desk. No, Dad, Hope said quietly. Your refusal to change is tearing us apart. The office door opened again, and Mom walked in, looking smaller and more tired than I'd ever seen her. Ibrahim, she said softly to Dad, the lawyers are waiting. Mom, I stood up. Stay, both of you. Let me show you what we're building here. Building? Dad scoffed. You're destroying everything we worked for. No, I pulled out a folder. I'm creating something new, something better. Look at these numbers. Look at the businesses we're supporting. Legal businesses. Sustainable businesses. Sustainable like Adeline's fashion line? Mom asked unexpectedly. I saw her interview in the business journal. Yes, I seized the opening. And she's just the beginning. We're not just giving out money. We're creating a network, a community. These women support each other, learn from each other. While our family business dies, Dad muttered. It doesn't have to, Tyron said. Savannah's fund could help us transition to legitimate business practices. Hope's got ideas for rebranding. You've all lost your minds, Dad interrupted, but I noticed his voice had lost some of its thunder. Dad, I tried one more time. You always taught us that family comes first, but maybe it's time to redefine what that means. Maybe it's not just about preserving the past. Maybe it's about building a better future. Mom touched Dad's arm. Ibrahim, maybe we should listen. Listen to our children telling us everything we did was wrong. Not wrong, I said softly, just outdated. The world's changing, Dad. We need to change with it. He stared at me for a long moment, then at Hope and Tyron. Finally, he looked at Mom, who nodded slightly. Fine, he said gruffly. Show me these numbers you're so proud of. For the next hour, we walked them through everything. The successful businesses, the mentorship program, the community impact. Mom asked questions about Adeline's fashion line, while Dad grudgingly admitted some of our financial projections weren't completely ridiculous. As they were leaving, Mom hugged me for the first time in months. I still don't understand everything you're doing, she whispered, but I'm trying to. Dad just nodded stiffly before walking out, but he didn't slam the door this time. After they left, Hope collapsed onto the couch. Well, that was intense. But productive, Tyron added. Did you see Dad's face when you showed him Adeline's profit margins? My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Your father would never admit it, but he kept the folder with your business plans. He's reading it now. I smiled, feeling a glimmer of hope. Maybe sometimes, I said to my siblings, destroying something old is the only way to build something new. Speaking of building, Hope pulled out her laptop. Want to hear my ideas for rebranding the family business? Looking at my sister's excited face and my brother's supportive smile, I realized that sometimes the hardest battles lead to the most important victories. And maybe, just maybe, our family could become something stronger than before. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Adeline Jordan of Second Skin Sustainable Fashion. The conference room erupted in applause as Adeline took the stage. From my seat in the front row, I could see her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted the microphone. but her voice was steady and strong. 6 months ago, I was working from my garage, turning old designer clothes into new fashion statements. Today, thanks to the Women's Empowerment Fund, we have a full production facility, 28 employees, and contracts with major retailers. More applause. I felt Helen squeeze my hand excitedly. But the real success story, Adeline continued, isn't just about numbers. It's about community. Every piece we create is made by local artisans, many of whom are also fund recipients. We're not just making clothes, we're making change. In the middle of the audience, I spotted Mom, sitting straight-backed and proper, her expression unreadable. She'd shown up unexpectedly, slipping in just as the presentations began. After Adeline, 3 more entrepreneurs presented their success stories. Maria showcased her tech platform's growing user base. Sarah demonstrated her eco-friendly cleaning products. Jasmine revealed the expansion plans for her urban farming initiative. During the networking break, Mom approached me, clutching her handbag like a shield. "That Adeline," she said carefully. "She reminds me of you at her age, so determined." Before I could respond, Mila rushed over. "Savannah, the reporter from Forbes is here. And you won't believe who else, representatives from National Bank's Corporate Investment Division." Mom's eyebrows shot up. "Forbes, excuse me," a woman in a sharp business suit interrupted. "I'm Amanda from National Bank. We're very interested in discussing a partnership with your fund." "Partnership?" Mom and I said simultaneously. Amanda smiled. "Your success rate with startups is impressive. We'd like to explore matching funds for future investments. Perhaps we could schedule a meeting." As Amanda walked away, Mom touched my arm. "Savannah, I need to tell you something. Your father—" She was interrupted by Hope, rushing over, her face flushed with excitement. "The Sustainable Fashion Association wants Adeline to keynote their annual conference, and they're interested in our family's warehouse space for their next expo." "Our warehouse," Mom frowned. "But it's being foreclosed." "Not if we move fast," Hope said. "I've been running numbers. If we convert it into a sustainable fashion hub, with Adeline as anchor tenant—" "Hope," Mom cut in sharply. "Your father would never—" "Actually," a gruff voice said behind us, "I might consider it." We all spun around. Dad stood there, looking uncomfortable in his old suit, hands shoved in his pockets. "Dad?" I gasped. "What are you doing here?" He shifted awkwardly. "Your mother's been showing me the news articles about your fund, about these women you're helping." He gestured at the room full of successful entrepreneurs. "I thought I should see for myself." "And?" Hope prompted. "And," he took a deep breath, "I've been doing things the wrong way for a long time." The silence between us was heavy with years of conflict and misunderstanding. "The warehouse," he continued finally. "Hope's idea. It has merit. Better than watching the bank take it." "Ibrahim," Mom whispered, touching his arm. "I'm not saying I like everything about this," he added quickly. "But I'm willing to listen." Before anyone could respond, Adeline approached our group. "Mr. and Mrs. Blake, I just wanted to thank you personally. Your daughter's fund didn't just save my business. It showed me what's possible when someone believes in you." Dad stared at her for a long moment. "You employ local workers?" "Yes, sir. 28 so far, with plans to hire 12 more next month." "And your sustainable fashion, it makes money?" Adeline smiled. "Would you like to see our quarterly projections?" To everyone's surprise, Dad nodded. "I would, actually." As Adeline led my parents toward her presentation booth, Helen appeared at my side. "Did I just see your dad voluntarily talking about sustainable fashion?" "I think," I said slowly, "we just witnessed a miracle." "More like the power of success," Mila commented, joining us. "Nothing changes minds like solid profits and good press." My phone buzzed, an email from Forbes requesting an interview, then another from National Bank confirming a meeting, then a text from Tyrone. "Dad just asked me to research sustainable fashion industry trends. Who is this man, and what did you do with our father?" Looking around the room at all these successful women, at my sister's excited planning, at my parents actually listening to Adeline's presentation. I felt something shift. This wasn't just about proving my family wrong anymore. It was about proving something bigger, that change is possible, that success can come from unexpected places, and that sometimes the best revenge is simply doing the right thing well. So, Hope said, rejoining us with a grin. Ready to help me convince Dad to paint the warehouse pink? Let's not push our luck, I laughed, one miracle at a time. The warehouse definitely needs better lighting, Adeline said, her heels clicking on the concrete floor. But the bones are good. Dad trailed behind us, hands clasped behind his back, watching as Adeline gestured at various spaces. This could be the main production area, here, a showroom, and that mezzanine would make perfect office space. The electrical will need updating, Dad muttered, but I noticed he was taking mental notes. Already got quotes, Hope chimed in, waving her tablet. The sustainable energy grants could cover 40% of the costs. A month had passed since the conference, and somehow we'd managed to get Dad to consider converting his failing warehouse into a sustainable fashion hub. The bank had agreed to halt foreclosure proceedings while we developed the new business plan. And you really think other designers will rent space here? Dad asked skeptically. We already have 6 interested tenants, Adeline replied. All fund recipients, all with proven track records. Speaking of track records, Mom's voice echoed as she entered through the side door. The newspaper is here. A young reporter followed her in, notebook in hand. Mr. Blake, is it true you're transitioning from import-export to sustainable fashion? That's quite a change. Dad straightened his shoulders, and I held my breath, waiting for his response. Sometimes, he said slowly, you have to adapt or die. My daughter taught me that. I nearly dropped my phone in shock. Mom beamed. And Ms. Blake, the reporter turned to me. How does it feel to see your fund's success inspiring your family's business transformation? Before I could answer, a commotion at the entrance interrupted us. Mila burst in, followed by Helen and several suited executives. They're here early, Mila announced breathlessly. The National Bank investment team. Now, Hope squeaked, smoothing her blazer. We haven't even finished the presentation. Actually, the lead executive stepped forward. We've seen enough. Your fund's success rate, combined with this warehouse conversion project, we're prepared to make an offer. Dad's eyebrows shot up. What kind of offer? Full financing for the warehouse renovation, plus matching funds for the next round of entrepreneur grants. The reporter scribbled frantically. There's one condition, the executive continued. We want this to be a pilot program. If successful, we'll replicate it in other cities. Replicate, Mom whispered. Your daughter's model works, the executive explained. Small business incubation, sustainable practices, community investment. It's the future of ethical business. Dad sat heavily on a nearby crate. The future, he repeated softly. Ibrahim, Mom touched his shoulder. This could save everything. Make it better, even. Could we? Dad cleared his throat. Could we keep the family name on the building? Of course, Adeline said quickly. How about Blake's Sustainable Fashion Hub? The reporter raised her hand. Could I get a photo? The whole family, plus Adeline. This is quite a story. Local business, reborn, through next-generation leadership. As we gathered for the photo, I felt Mom slip her hand into mine. I'm sorry, she whispered, for not believing in you sooner. Smile, the reporter called. Later, as the executives discussed details with Dad and Hope, Adeline pulled me aside. You know what's ironic, she said. If your parents hadn't fought you so hard about the fund, you might never have pushed to make it this successful. And without that success, without it, we couldn't save the family business, I finished. Talk about karma. Sometimes the best revenge is massive success, Helen quipped, joining us. It's not about revenge anymore, I realized. It's about evolution. Speaking of evolution, Tyrone called out. Dad's asking about installing solar panels. Who is this man, and what have you done with our father? We all laughed, watching Dad enthusiastically discuss renewable energy with the bank executives. Mom was showing the reporter old photos of the warehouse on her phone, pride evident in her voice as she described its upcoming transformation. "Ms. Blake," one of the executives approached me. "We'd like to discuss expanding your role. With the pilot program rolling out nationally, we need someone with your vision at the helm." My phone buzzed, a text from Hope. "See, told you burning bridges sometimes lights the way forward." I looked around the warehouse, at Adeline sketching designs with her team, at Mom and Dad embracing change instead of fighting it, at my siblings finding their own paths within our new family legacy. "You know what's funny?" I said to Helen. "I started this fund to prove my parents wrong. Instead, it proved that sometimes the right thing and the smart thing are the same thing. And that families can change," she suggested. "That too." I smiled, watching Dad actually laugh at something Adeline said. That too. The warehouse might still need better lighting, but our future had never been brighter. And now, to cut the ribbon for the Blake Sustainable Fashion Hub, the mayor announced, "We have 3 generations of the Blake family." Dad stepped forward first, looking sharp in his new suit, one of Adeline's designs, of course. Mom stood beside him, wearing a proud smile and a sustainable silk scarf. Hope, Tyron, and I completed the line, holding the oversized scissors together. "Ready?" Dad whispered, his hands steady on the scissors. Together. The ribbon fell, and applause erupted from the crowd gathered in front of the transformed warehouse. The building's facade gleamed with solar panels and living walls, while the new logo, designed by Hope, sparkled in recycled metal letters. "I never thought I'd see the day," Helen murmured beside me. "Your dad actually wearing sustainable fashion. I never thought I'd see him smiling at a grand opening that wasn't for a discount store," Tyron added. Inside, the space buzzed with energy. Adeline's showroom dominated the ground floor, while other entrepreneurs we'd funded occupied carefully designed spaces throughout the building. The mezzanine housed our fund's offices, where Mila was already conducting tours for potential investors. "Savannah," Mom called, waving me over to where she stood with a group of her church friends. "Tell them about the employment program." As I explained how we'd created jobs for local artisans, I watched Dad showing some business associates around. He stopped at each entrepreneur's space, proudly introducing them like they were family. "Remember when he couldn't even say the word sustainable without grimacing?" Hope whispered, appearing at my elbow. "Remember when Mom cried because I wouldn't invest in knockoff handbags?" I whispered back. "I heard that," Mom said, joining us. "And I was wrong. We were all wrong." She squeezed my hand. "But you showed us a better way." "Mrs. Blake," Adeline approached, carrying a garment bag. "The prototype is ready." Mom's eyes lit up. She'd been collaborating with Adeline on a line of sustainable fashion for elegant, mature women, as she put it. Watching my mother transform from skeptic to enthusiastic sustainable fashion advocate had been one of the most surprising developments of all. "Ibrahim," Mom called, "come see our new design." As my parents huddled with Adeline over the prototype, Helen nudged me. "Look who just walked in." A group of national bank executives entered, led by their CEO, but it was the woman with them who caught my attention. The same loan officer who'd rejected my first business loan application 2 years ago. She recognized me too, approaching with an awkward smile. "Ms. Blake, congratulations on all your success." "Thank you," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. "Would you like a tour? We could start with our profit margins." She flushed, but before she could respond, Dad called everyone to attention. "I'd like to say something," he announced, his voice carrying across the space. The crowd quieted. "When my father started this business, he had a dream of creating a legacy. For years, I thought protecting that legacy meant never changing. I was wrong." He gestured around the transformed warehouse. This is what legacy really means. Not clinging to the past, but building a better future. And I have my daughter Savannah to thank for showing me that." And Hope and Tyron, Mom added quickly, making everyone laugh. And Hope and Tyron, Dad agreed. But mostly, I want to thank all these incredible entrepreneurs who trusted us with their dreams. You're not just renting space here, you're part of our family now. Speaking of family, Adeline stepped forward. We have an announcement. The Sustainable Fashion Hub model is being adopted by 5 other cities. Mrs. Blake will be heading up the mentorship program, and Mr. Blake will be advising on the conversions of industrial spaces. My parents beamed, and I felt tears prick my eyes. A year ago, they couldn't imagine life beyond their failing business. Now they were pioneering a national movement. You did this, Helen whispered. You changed everything. We did this, I corrected, watching Hope show off her marketing plans to the bank executives, while Tyron explained our solar power system to interested investors. All of us. The loan officer approached again, this time more hesitant. Ms. Blake? We're launching a new division focused on sustainable business loans. Would you consider serving on our advisory board? I smiled, thinking of all the future entrepreneurs who might need someone to believe in them. I'd be honored. Savannah, Mom called. Come take a family photo. As I joined my family in front of Adeline's window display, I realized something profound. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't protecting what is, but fighting for what could be. And sometimes the family business isn't about the business at all. It's about the family and how it grows together. Everyone say, sustainable, the photographer called. And we did together, laughing at how far we'd come and excited about where we were going.
Success tastes like copper pennies and bitter almonds. I learned this standing at the podium of the Grand Meridian Hotel, watching my family's faces fade into practiced indifference as I accepted the Morrison account. The biggest deal of my career. My name is Catherine, and I've spent 28 years being the responsible one. The achiever, the daughter who never caused trouble. Fat lot of good that did me. And so we're thrilled to welcome Meridian Technologies as our newest partner. I concluded, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. The applause was genuine, enthusiastic, from everyone except the 4 people seated at table 6. My mother, Linda, was already turned towards Sophie, adjusting my younger sister's perfectly styled hair. Sophie beamed, basking in the attention like a cat in sunlight. My father, Michael, checked his watch, his expression suggesting he'd rather be anywhere else. Absolutely brilliant presentation, Catherine, Daniel whispered as I returned to my seat. That contract is going to change everything for the firm. I managed a tight smile, watching Sophie lean forward, her voice carrying across 3 tables. Oh my God, Mom. Wait until you hear about the charity gala I'm organizing. The governor's wife personally asked me to chair the committee. The speed with which my parents' heads snapped up was almost comical. Almost. Darling, that's wonderful. My mother's voice dripped with the pride she'd never shown for my achievements. Michael, did you hear that? Our Sophie working with the governor's wife. That's my girl, Dad said, actually putting his phone down. Always knew you'd do great things. The copper taste flooded my mouth again. 3 years of 60-hour weeks, countless missed holidays, and a relationship sacrificed at the altar of career advancement. All dismissed in favor of Sophie's latest social climbing venture. Emma, my best friend, squeezed my arm under the table. Don't let them get to you, she murmured. They're not worth it. But they were. They were my family, and their indifference cut deeper than any stranger's criticism ever could. Speaking of the gala, Sophie announced, loud enough to draw attention from nearby tables. I'll need some help with the funding. Daddy, remember that investment account we discussed? I froze. The investment account. The one Dad had promised would help me with the down payment on my first house. The one I'd been counting on after pouring my savings into paying off my student loans. Of course, sweetheart, Dad replied without hesitation. Whatever you need. The room tilted slightly. I grabbed my water glass, condensation cool against my palm, and took a careful sip. Across the table, Daniel was saying something about the implementation timeline for the Morrison project, but his words were distant. Underwater. Catherine? He touched my sleeve. Are you okay? Excuse me. I managed, standing abruptly. My chair scraped against the floor, drawing glances. Sophie's tinkling laugh followed me as I walked. Didn't run, never run, toward the exit. The hotel's marble bathroom was mercifully empty. I gripped the counter, staring at my reflection. Professional makeup, carefully styled hair, the designer suit I'd spent too much on because I wanted to look perfect for this presentation. All that effort, and they couldn't even pretend to care. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. They're asking where you went. Sophie's telling everyone you're probably stressed about the presentation. Want me to say something? Another buzz. Daniel. Morrison asking to discuss timeline details? Should I stall? Final buzz. Sophie. OMG sis, so dramatic. BTW, can you send me Dad's investment guy's number? Need it for the gala stuff. XOXO. I looked at my reflection again, but this time I saw something different. Something harder. Colder. The good daughter. The responsible one. The achiever. She was still there. But now there was someone else too. Someone who'd finally had enough. I texted Sophie back. Can't wait to help with the gala. Let's talk details soon. It wasn't even a lie. I was going to help with her precious gala, just not in the way she expected. I reapplied my lipstick, straightened my jacket, and headed back to the ballroom. Time to play the perfect daughter one last time. The Morrison contract sits on my desk like a trophy, but the victory feels hollow when my phone lights up with another group text from Mom. Sophie's charity gala made the society pages. Look at our beautiful girl making waves. I scrolled through the attached photos. Sophie in her element, working the room in a dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. The governor's wife appears in 3 shots, each time with her hand on Sophie's shoulder like they're old friends. Your sister's really found her calling, Daniel says, leaning against my office doorframe. Though between you and me, that gala's budget seems ambitious. I look up sharply. What do you mean? The Morrison numbers came across my desk this morning. I noticed your father's investment firm is handling the gala's funding. Nearly $500,000. He pauses, watching my reaction. That's a lot of champagne and centerpieces. The copper taste returns to my mouth. $500,000. My house down payment vanishing into Sophie's social climbing fantasy. Interesting, I say, keeping my voice neutral. I wasn't aware of the specifics. Catherine, Sophie bursts into my office, trailing expensive perfume and entitlement. Thank God you're here. I need the most massive favor. Daniel retreats, shooting me a knowing look. Sophie drops into my visitor's chair, already typing on her phone. The gala venue fell through, she announces. Some nonsense about unpaid deposits. But you know the event space at Morrison Technologies, right? The one with the rooftop garden? It would be perfect. My fingers tighten on my pen. That space is for corporate events only. Client meetings, product launches. But you're basically running things there now, Sophie interrupts. After that contract thing, just pull some strings. For me? She deploys the pleading look that always works on our parents. It's not that simple. God, why do you always make everything so difficult? Sophie's mask slips for a moment, revealing irritation. Mom said you'd probably be like this. She said ever since your promotion, you've gotten so corporate. The pen snaps in my hand, ink staining my fingers. What exactly does Mom say about me? Oh, you know. Sophie waves dismissively. Just that maybe you're working too hard. That it's making you bitter. I mean, when's the last time you even went on a date? Before I can respond, Emma appears in the doorway. Her eyes narrow at Sophie's presence. Ready for lunch? She asks me, then adds with calculated sweetness. Sophie, I love your dress. Isn't that the same one from the charity brunch last month? Sophie stiffens. No, this is completely different. It's designer. My mistake. Emma's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Must be thinking of something else. I gather my things, watching Sophie's fingers drum anxiously on her phone case. About the venue. Just think about it. Sophie cuts in. For me, family should help family, right? The words hit like a slap. I think of the investment account, of years of missed birthdays because Sophie's celebrations took precedence, of Mom's constant stream of praise for Sophie's social achievements while my professional ones warranted only distracted nods. "You're right," I say slowly. "Family should help family." Sophie beams, already reaching for her phone, but I'm not finished, which is why I'll need to review the gala's financial records before I can even consider the venue request. Standard corporate procedure. I'm sure you understand. The color drains from Sophie's face. That's not necessary. I have everything under control. Then there shouldn't be a problem. I stand, gathering my bag. Send me the documentation by Friday. But Friday, I repeat firmly. After all, family should help family be accountable, right? Sophie leaves in a flurry of protests and slammed doors. Emma watches her go, then turns to me with raised eyebrows. "That was different," she observes. "Usually you just give in." I examine the ink stains on my fingers, thinking of Daniel's casual mention of $500,000, of Sophie's panic at the mention of documentation. Things are going to be different from now on, I say quietly. I think it's time for some family accountability. Emma studies my face. "Just be careful. You know how your family closes ranks around Sophie when she's threatened." I'm counting on it. I grab my coat, already mentally drafting emails to the Morrison accounting department. "Let's get lunch. I have some ideas I want to run by you." The ink on my fingers looks almost like bruises, or maybe battle scars. Either way, I'm done playing the perfect daughter. It's time to see what's really hiding behind Sophie's perfectly curated facade. The file drawer crashes open with the force of my frustration. 3 hours of digging through Dad's office while he's at his golf game, and I found nothing about Sophie's gala finances. But as I move to slam it shut, a flash of red catches my eye. An unmarked folder tucked behind the others. Inside, credit card statements spill out like autumn leaves, all in Sophie's name, all maxed out. The numbers blur together until one transaction snaps into focus. A $70,000 withdrawal from Dad's investment account, dated 2 days after my presentation. My phone buzzes. "Emma, you need to see this, now." 20 minutes later, I'm staring at Emma's laptop screen in her design studio, my hands shaking around a coffee cup gone cold. "I was doing the preliminary designs for Sophie's gala materials," Emma says, scrolling through a spreadsheet. "But these numbers don't add up. The venue she claims to have booked? They've never heard of her. The catering deposit she supposedly paid? The company doesn't exist. How did you get this? Olivia sent it to me by mistake. Wrong email address." Emma's voice hardens. She's Sophie's front person for all this, collecting donations, handling vendors, except most of the money isn't going where it's supposed to. The office door opens and Daniel steps in, his face grim. "Sorry to interrupt, but Catherine needs to see this too." He holds up his phone. The Morrison account numbers came back weird. Someone's been accessing the corporate system using your login credentials. The coffee cup slips from my fingers, shattering on the floor. "What?" "Small transfers at first, then bigger ones. All traced back to your authentication codes." He pauses. "The last one was this morning, $50,000. That's impossible. I never..." The words die in my throat as I remember Sophie hovering over my desk last week, asking to use my computer while I was in a meeting. Oh God. My phone rings. Mom's name flashes on the screen. I answer on speaker. "Catherine, thank goodness. Have you spoken to your sister today?" She's not answering her phone, and she was supposed to meet me for the gala planning lunch. "No, I haven't." "Well, if you see her, tell her the governor's wife is asking questions about the donation allocations. Nothing serious, just some confusion about the numbers. Sophie will know how to handle it." The line goes dead before I can respond. Emma and Daniel exchange looks. "Catherine," Emma says carefully, "if Sophie's been embezzling from both your family and your company..." "She's not just embezzling," I interrupt, the pieces clicking together like a toxic puzzle. "She's using my name to do it. If this comes out, I'm implicated. My career, my reputation." The studio door flies open. Sophie bursts in, mascara streaked down her face. You have to help me, she gasps. They're asking questions. The governor's office, the donors, they want records. Real ones. Like the records you forged using my login? My voice sounds strange, distant. Or the ones showing you drained Dad's investment account? Sophie freezes. For a moment, I see the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, seeking protection. Then her face hardens. You don't understand, she hisses. I had to. Everyone expects certain things from me. The right clothes, the right connections. Mom and Dad's help wasn't enough anymore. But you, with your perfect job and your perfect reputation, you could afford to help me. By stealing my identity? By putting my entire career at risk? Oh, please. She scoffs, but her voice trembles. Like you've ever cared about anything except your precious career. Some sister you are. Emma steps forward, but I raise a hand to stop her. You're right, Sophie. I am your sister. I reach for my phone. Which is why I'm going to do what I should have done years ago. What are you doing? Calling the police. My finger hovers over the keypad. Unless you'd prefer I call the governor's office first? Sophie's face drains of color. You wouldn't. Mom and Dad would never forgive you. I think of the credit card statements, the forged documents, the years of being overshadowed and dismissed. Maybe not, but I forgave you for too long, and look where that got us. I'll tell them everything was your idea, she threatens, backing toward the door. They'll believe me. They always believe me. Not this time. I hold up my phone, recording app running. This time, everyone's going to hear the truth. Sophie runs. The door slams behind her, leaving silence broken only by the soft beep of the recording saving. Catherine, Emma whispers, what are you going to do? I look at the shattered coffee cup on the floor, dark liquid spreading like blood. Whatever it takes to make this right. Starting now. The boardroom feels like a tomb as I stare at the email on the projector screen. My login credentials, timestamps of unauthorized transfers, and Sophie's name, all laid out in corporate black and white. The Morrison account has been compromised. The chief financial officer announces, Catherine, given your personal connection to this situation, we're offering you a choice. Ryan, newly promoted to marketing director, won't meet my eyes. He'd been the one to flag the suspicious activity, doing his job, protecting the company, and destroying any chance we had. What kind of choice? My voice sounds hollow even to me. Handle this internally. Make the money reappear. Smooth things over with the governor's office regarding the gala irregularities. In return, we keep this quiet. The CFO slides a document across the table. Or we launch a formal investigation. Either way, we need an answer by tomorrow morning. Daniel shifts beside me. Catherine has been instrumental in the Morrison account's success. Surely we can... This isn't about past performance. Ryan interrupts, still avoiding my gaze. It's about liability. The word hangs in the air like poison. I think of Sophie's threats, the recording on my phone, Dad's investment account drained dry. One signature could make it all disappear, along with any chance of justice. My phone buzzes. Mom. Family dinner tonight. Non-negotiable. Sophie's very upset about your accusations. Another buzz. Sophie. Hope you're happy. Mom and Dad are mortgaged to the hilt because of me. Expose me and they lose everything. Your choice, sis. The CFO clears his throat. Catherine? I need time to think. Until tomorrow morning, he reminds me. Not a minute longer. Outside the boardroom, Daniel catches my arm. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Sophie's not the only one with something to lose here. I know exactly what I have to lose. I pull away, but he persists. Do you? Because Ryan's team is already distancing themselves from the Morrison account. Your reputation... My reputation? I laugh, the sound sharp enough to make him flinch. My sister stole my identity, drained my parents' savings, and implicated me in fraud. What reputation? Emma's waiting in my office, face grim. Your mother called me. They're saying you're having some kind of breakdown, imagining things about Sophie. They want me to talk sense into you. Of course they do. I sink into my chair, touching the flash drive in my pocket containing every damning piece of evidence. Did she mention the mortgage? No, but Olivia's been bragging about Sophie's new summer house, the one she supposedly bought with her investment returns. The pieces clicked together with nauseating clarity. Sophie hadn't just stolen from our parents. She'd convinced them to mortgage their home to cover her tracks. My phone rings. Ryan, I had to report it, he says without preamble. But there might be another way. The company would rather avoid scandal. If you take responsibility, claim it was an accounting error. You want me to confess to my sister's crimes? I want to help you protect your family. His voice softens, and maybe save what we could have had. The truth hits like a physical blow. You knew about Sophie's schemes before you reported them. His silence is answer enough. How long were you gathering evidence against me while we were dating? Catherine. I hang up, hands shaking. Emma watches me with growing concern. What are you going to do? The answer comes with startling clarity. I reach for my laptop, pulling up the company's ethics hotline. Catherine, wait, Emma warns. Think about your parents, the mortgage. I've spent my entire life thinking about everyone else. My fingers hover over the keyboard. Maybe it's time they thought about me. They're still your family. No. I think of Sophie's threats, my parents' willful blindness, Ryan's betrayal. They're people who took advantage of my love for them. There's a difference. My phone lights up with another text from Sophie. Last chance, sis. Make this go away, or I'll tell them everything was your idea. Your choice. I start typing my report, each word a nail in the coffin of the person I used to be. The good daughter, the responsible one, the protector. You're right, Sophie, I whisper, hitting submit. It is my choice. The confirmation email arrives instantly. Thank you for your report. An investigator will contact you within 24 hours. There's no going back now, only forward into whatever wreckage awaits. The governor's wife's garden party buzzes with whispers as I circulate, each casual conversation a carefully placed landmine. I've spent 2 weeks leaking pieces of Sophie's financial misdeeds to key society players, watching her carefully constructed world crack like thin ice. Such a shame about the gala funding, I say to Olivia's mother, who sits on 3 charity boards. The unauthorized transfers, the missing donations. Her eyes widen. Missing donations? Oh. I feign surprise. I assumed Sophie had explained everything. Across the lawn, Sophie holds court near the rose garden, but her audience has thinned considerably. Even from here, I can see the strain in her smile, the way she clutches her champagne glass too tightly. Catherine. Daniel appears at my elbow, his expression grave. We need to talk. Now. In a quiet corner behind the catering tent, he shows me his phone. The ethics investigation is expanding. They're looking at everyone connected to the Morrison account, including your parents' investment firm. What? That wasn't part of... Your father's signature is on some of Sophie's fraudulent documents. Did you know? The ground seems to shift beneath my feet. That's impossible. Dad would never... Catherine. Mom's voice cuts through the air like a whip. She marches toward us, her society smile firmly in place until we're out of earshot. What have you done? What have I done? The words taste like acid. The governor's wife just pulled Sophie's gala funding. Our friends are asking questions about money, our private financial matters. Her fingers dig into my arm. Fix this, now. Like you fixed things for Sophie? By mortgaging your house? The color drains from her face. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Dad signed fraudulent documents to protect Sophie, didn't he? That's why you're both so desperate to keep this quiet. Your sister needed help. And I needed parents who gave a damn about anyone besides Sophie. Heads turn at my outburst. Mom's face hardens. If you pursue this, you'll destroy this family. You did that yourselves. I pull away, but she grabs my wrist. Think carefully about your next move. she hisses. You're not the only one with evidence. Remember that project you handled last year? The one with the irregular reporting? Sophie made copies of everything. Ice floods my veins. The Richardson account, where I'd covered up some minor discrepancies to save the deal. Nothing illegal, but enough to raise questions about my judgment. You're blackmailing me? Your own daughter? I'm protecting this family, like I've always done. Emma appears, sensing tension. Catherine, you okay? Before I can respond, Sophie storms over, mascara smeared. The governor's wife just uninvited me from the summer benefit. My own committee. She jabs a finger at my chest. This is your fault. Sophie, Mom warns, but she's too far gone. You couldn't stand that people finally saw me as successful, could you? Sophie's voice rises hysterically. Had to tear me down to make yourself feel better. Well, guess what? If I'm going down, you're coming with me. She pulls out her phone, fingers flying over the screen. My phone buzzes immediately. Screenshots of the Richardson account irregularities copied to the ethics committee. There, Sophie spits. Now everyone can see what St. Catherine is really like. The party has gone silent, witnesses gathering like vultures. Daniel swears under his breath. Emma steps forward protectively, but something inside me has gone very, very quiet. You know what's funny? I say, my voice eerily calm. I spent years thinking I needed your approval. All of you. But now? I pull up the recording from our last confrontation, Sophie's confession about the stolen money playing clearly. Now I realize you need mine. You wouldn't. Mom breathes. Try me. I turn to the growing crowd, raising my voice. Would anyone like to hear what really happened to the gala donations? Catherine, please. Sophie whispers, fear replacing anger in her eyes. You'll ruin everything. I look at my sister, really look at her, and see the scared little girl who always needed to be the center of attention. At Mom, whose protection of Sophie has become a prison for us all. At the society vultures waiting for blood. You're right, I say softly. I will. I press play and watch my family's carefully constructed world begin to burn. The truth, it turns out, sounds like breaking glass and tastes like victory. Or maybe that's just the champagne I grab from a passing waiter as Sophie's carefully curated audience watches their golden girl fall from grace. Sometimes the only way to fix a broken family is to shatter it completely. The annual charity gala gleams like a funeral. Black ties, evening gowns, and beneath it all, the stench of impending disaster. I adjust my earpiece, watching the security feeds I've arranged in the Morrison Technologies event space. Sophie's arrived. Daniel murmurs through the comm. She looks unstable. Through the lobby camera, I watch my sister stumble slightly, already wine-flushed. Her designer dress hangs loose. She's lost weight since the garden party revelations. Behind her, Mom clutches Dad's arm like a lifeline, both of them scanning the crowd nervously. The governor's wife is asking about the missing donations. Emma reports from her position near the bar. Channel 7 News just arrived too. Everything's falling into place. The anonymous tips to the media, the carefully timed release of financial records, the invitation list crafted to ensure maximum witness impact. My revenge served on silver platters between champagne courses. So why does my chest feel so hollow? Catherine. Ryan materializes beside me, looking sharp in his tuxedo. The ethics committee wants to interview you Monday morning about the Richardson account. Not now. They're talking criminal charges. For all of us. Before I can respond, Sophie's voice rings out across the ballroom. Where is she? Where's my beloved sister? The crowd parts like water. Sophie stands in the center, mascara already smearing, clutching a manila envelope. I have something for the news crew, she announces. About our perfect Catherine. About what she did to get where she is. Mom rushes forward. Sophie, please. No, she destroyed everything. My reputation, my friends, my life. Sophie's voice cracks. Now it's her turn. I step into view. Go ahead. The room goes silent. Sophie falters, clearly not expecting my appearance. Show them, I continue, moving closer. Show them how I fudged the Richardson numbers, how I covered for incompetent colleagues, how I played the game to get ahead. Each step feels like walking through glass. But first, let's show them what you did with the gala donations. Catherine, Dad warns, but I'm done being warned. I nod to Emma, who activates the presentation screen. Bank statements appear, showing the twisted path of embezzled funds. Sophie's unauthorized transfers, Dad's forged signatures, Mom's desperate cover-ups. Stop, Sophie whispers. The summer house purchases, the credit card fraud, the identity theft. Each new slide lands like a bullet. Everything you did while hiding behind my name. I said stop. Sophie lunges forward, but her heel catches. She stumbles, the manila envelope spilling across the floor. But instead of the Richardson documents, photographs scatter across the marble. Old family photos, birthday parties, graduations, holidays. All with me cropped or blurred in the background while Sophie shines in the center. The room spins slightly. I hear gasps, see phones recording, feel the weight of hundreds of eyes. I just wanted them to see me. Sophie sobs, dropping to her knees among the photos. Like they always saw you. Saw me? The laugh that escapes sounds foreign. They never saw me. I was the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who didn't need attention because I was too busy cleaning up everyone else's messes. Catherine, Emma warns in my earpiece. The news crew? You want a story? I address the reporters directly. Here's your story. Successful executive discovers sister's fraud scheme. Parents mortgage house to cover it up. Family implodes. Film at 11. Please, Mom begs. We're your family. No. I look at Sophie, still crying among the scattered photographs of her perfect life. At Dad, gray-faced and silent. At Mom, desperate to preserve her illusion of family harmony. You're just people who share my DNA. The room erupts in chaos. Reporters shout questions. Society matrons whisper behind jeweled hands. Through my earpiece, I hear Daniel saying something urgent about damage control. But all I can see is one particular photograph by my feet. Sophie's 16th birthday. She's radiant in the center, surrounded by admirers. And there in the corner, barely visible, is my reflection in a window, watching from the outside like always. I turn and walk away, leaving my family to drown in the truth they created. My heels click against marble, each step echoing with finality. Catherine, wait, Ryan calls after me. The ethics committee. Let them come, I say without turning. I'm done hiding. The night air hits like a slap as I exit the building. Behind me, my family's carefully constructed world burns to ash. Ahead, nothing but uncertainty. I've won. I've lost. Maybe they're the same thing. The ethics committee's conference room feels like an execution chamber. My parents sit across from me, flanked by their lawyers. Sophie huddles in the corner, hollow-eyed and silent. The morning news plays silently on a wall-mounted TV, showing footage from last night's gala implosion. Let's review the timeline. The committee chair begins, but Dad interrupts. Before we continue, there's something you should know. He slides a folder across the table. Evidence that Catherine orchestrated this entire situation. My lawyer starts to object, but I wave her off. Show them. Inside are documents I've never seen before. Emails, bank statements, meeting notes dating back years, all suggesting I'd been manipulating company funds long before Sophie's schemes began. Impressive forgeries, I say quietly. When did you make them? Mom flinches. Dad's jaw tightens. These are authentic. Like the signatures you forged for Sophie's loans? I pull out my phone, playing a recording. Dad's voice fills the room, clearly instructing a bank manager to process documents using my credentials. You recorded me? The betrayal in his voice would have hurt once. Now it just feels hollow. I recorded everything. I look at Sophie. including the real reason behind Mom and Dad's devotion to you. Sophie's head snaps up. Mom goes pale. Catherine, she warns, but I'm done with warnings. Tell her, I say to my parents. Or I will. The silence stretches like a wire about to snap. Finally, Dad breaks. The company was failing, he whispers. 24 years ago, we were about to lose everything. Then your mother's family offered to invest, on one condition. Sophie's confusion turns to horror as understanding dawns. They wanted a grandchild to groom as heir to their empire. Mom continues, tears streaming. We already had Catherine, but she wasn't what they wanted. So you had me, Sophie finishes, as a business transaction. We loved you, Mom insists. Both of you. No. I stand, my chair scraping back. You loved what Sophie represented. Status, security, social standing. You loved the idea of her so much you let her destroy herself trying to live up to it. That's not... Your perfect daughter, I continue, is facing criminal charges for fraud. Your family's reputation is in ruins. The company you sacrificed everything to save is imploding. How's that for irony? Sophie makes a sound like a wounded animal. You knew? All this time you knew I was just a business arrangement? I found the contract last month, I say. In Dad's office, along with evidence of every scheme, every cover-up, every lie they told to keep their investment safe. The committee chair clears his throat. Miss Harrison, I accept full responsibility for the Richardson account irregularities, I interrupt, and I have documentation proving Sophie acted alone in the charity fraud. The rest? I look at my family, these strangers who share my blood. The rest is just family history. Catherine, please, Dad begs. We can fix this. Like you fixed me? By pushing me aside because I wasn't the daughter your investors wanted? Sophie stands abruptly, swaying. I think I'm going to be sick. Funny, I say, gathering my things. That's how I felt every time they chose you. Wait. Sophie grabs my arm as I pass. I didn't know about any of it. I thought they loved me more. For the first time, I see my sister, really see her. Not the golden child or the spoiled princess, but a pawn in our parents' desperate game. They did love you more, I say gently. They just loved their social standing most of all. The committee tries to call me back, but I'm already walking away. Behind me, I hear Sophie's sobs, Mom's pleas, Dad's silence. My phone buzzes. Emma. You okay? I look back through the conference room window. Sophie crying in the corner. Our parents frozen in their seats, the committee shuffling papers that document our family's implosion. No, I text back, but I'm free. The elevator doors close on the sound of Sophie calling my name. I don't look back. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed, but maybe they were never whole to begin with. The city lights blur beneath my penthouse window, each one representing a life untouched by the implosion of the Harrison family legacy. My phone buzzes with another missed call from Sophie, the 12th today. I let it ring. Emma sets 2 glasses of wine on the marble counter. The ethics committee's verdict came through. I know. The email sits unopened in my inbox, its subject line glaring. Final decision regarding Harrison investigation. Your parents lost the company, she continues. Sophie's facing probation, and you got exactly what I wanted. I turn from the window. So why does victory taste like ash? The doorman calls up. Sophie's in the lobby, demanding to see me. For the first time in weeks, I tell him to let her up. She looks different when she enters. Thinner, sharper, her designer clothes replaced by simple jeans and a sweater. No makeup, no facade. I sold everything, she says without preamble. The summer house, the cars, the jewelry, paid back what I could. Good for you. Mom and Dad are divorcing. Also good, she flinches. Is that all you can say? Our family is destroyed. Our family was never real. I take a slow sip of wine. It was a business arrangement that got out of hand. Maybe for them. Sophie steps closer. But you were real. Your anger, your pain, that was real. And now what? You won. You're alone at the top of your tower while everyone else burns. Is this what freedom feels like? The wine turns sour in my mouth. Emma quietly excuses herself, leaving us alone with the truth we've both been avoiding. I found this in Dad's office, Sophie says, pulling out a faded photograph, before they changed the locks. It's us, aged maybe 4 and 8, building a sandcastle. Before the pressure of expectations, before the weight of family legacy. Just 2 sisters, creating something together. We could have helped each other. She whispers. All those years we could have been allies instead of enemies. You chose your side. I chose what they programmed me to choose. Her voice cracks. But you were stronger. You chose yourself. A text lights up my phone. Daniel, warning me about tomorrow's board meeting. Another from Ryan, still trying to explain his betrayal. Messages from a world I built from the ashes of my family's destruction. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Sophie continues. I'm not even asking to be sisters again. I need to know if it was worth it. This revenge, this victory. Did it fix what was broken inside you? The city lights seem dimmer now, the penthouse larger, emptier. I think of the family photos Sophie scattered across the gala floor, of Dad's forged documents, of Mom's desperate attempts to maintain appearances, of the little girl who spent her whole life trying to be seen. Nothing's fixed, I admit finally, but at least now I'm broken on my own terms. Sophie nods slowly, understanding more than I expected. She moves to leave, then pauses. I start therapy next week, she says. Real therapy, not the social anxiety counseling Mom always pushed. Maybe someday when we're both less broken. She leaves the photograph on the counter along with a business card for her therapist. After she's gone, I open the ethics committee email. Suspension, probation, mandatory oversight, consequences I can live with. The price of freedom. Emma returns, studying my face. You okay? I look at the photograph, at 2 sisters building something together before the world taught us to tear things down. No, I answer honestly, but maybe that's the point. My phone buzzes again. Another message from the past demanding attention. Instead, I turn it off and pour another glass of wine. The city stretches endlessly below, full of people living their own complicated truths. Somewhere out there, Sophie is starting over. Mom and Dad are facing their own reckonings. And I'm here, in my tower built of revenge and ambition, finally understanding that victory doesn't heal wounds. It just gives them new names. I raise my glass to my reflection in the window, to the woman who burned her world down to find herself in the ashes. To freedom, I whisper, whatever that means. The photograph stays on the counter, a reminder that some castles are built to fall, and sometimes that's okay.
The invitation sat in my inbox like a ticking bomb. Annual Brooks Family Beach House Reunion. Save the date. My sister Trinity's cheerful mass email might as well have been addressed to everyone but me. I knew how this would play out, the same way it had for the past 5 years. My name is Quinn, and I'm the family disappointment. At least, that's what my mother Iris never fails to remind me, whether through pointed silence or barely concealed sighs of disapproval. You're not going to let it get to you again this year, are you? Remington asked, peering over my cubicle wall. His concerned expression made me quickly close the email. Of course not, I lied, forcing a smile. Just another day at the office. But it wasn't just another day. The family beach house held every meaningful memory from my childhood. Before things changed, before I became the outsider. I remembered the summer I turned 12, when everything shifted. Quinn, darling, why don't you help in the kitchen? Mom had said, while Trinity got to join Dad's business meetings on the deck. Nelson, sweetheart, go show the neighbors your new project. While I sat alone, reading books they deemed a waste of time, my phone buzzed, a text from my childhood friend Savannah. Let me guess, another reunion email? I typed back, bingo. Want to bet how long before Mum calls to explain why there's limited space this year? The answer came within the hour. My mother's name flashed across my phone screen right on schedule. Quinn, dear, she started, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. About the reunion. Let me save you the trouble, Mom, I cut in, surprising myself with my steadiness. The house is too full, right? Trinity's kids need their space? Or is it Nelson's new girlfriend who needs the extra room this year? The silence on the other end was deafening. Well, you know how it is, she finally managed. Trinity's children are at such an important age. I glanced at the promotion letter sitting on my desk, the one I hadn't told them about. Senior Vice President at 35, the youngest in the company's history. Yeah, Mom, I know exactly how it is. After hanging up, I walked to Lance's office, my mentor and boss for the past decade. He looked up from his computer, reading my expression instantly. Family? He asked, gesturing to the chair across from him. I nodded, sinking into the seat. Sometimes I wonder why I still let it affect me. Because you're human, he said simply. But you know what the best revenge is? Success? I offered with a weak smile. No, he leaned forward, eyes twinkling. The best revenge is becoming so successful they can't ignore you anymore. Speaking of which, have you considered my proposal about the Richardson merger? I pulled out my tablet, pushing thoughts of family aside. Actually, I've been working on some numbers. What if we approached it from a different angle? For the next hour, we dove into work, my real comfort zone. As I walked Lance through my strategy, I felt the familiar surge of confidence return. This was where I belonged, where I excelled. Later that evening, as I drove home, Savannah called. You know what you need? She said, without preamble. A plan. A plan for what? To show them exactly what they've been missing. You're not that scared little girl anymore, Quinn. You're a force to be reckoned with. I stopped at a red light, watching the city lights blur through my windshield. What's the point? They've made it clear where I stand. The point is, you deserve better. And maybe it's time they realize that too. After hanging up, I sat in my parked car, staring at my luxury apartment building. 10 years ago, I'd started as an intern, determined to prove everyone wrong. Now I had everything they said I'd never achieve. Success, respect, independence. Everything except family acceptance. My phone pinged with another email, Trinity sharing photos of last year's reunion. Smiling faces, inside jokes, shared memories I wasn't part of. But instead of the usual hurt, I felt something different stirring inside me. Determination. Opening my laptop, I pulled up the real estate website I'd been monitoring. The beach house's market value had dropped significantly in the recent economic downturn. The same beach house our parents could no longer afford to maintain. Time for a different kind of investment, I whispered to myself, clicking the contact agent button. Maybe Savannah was right. Maybe it was time for a plan. Not for revenge, I told myself, but for justice. The kind that comes with compound interest. The Richardson merger isn't just about combining assets, I explained, standing before the board of directors. It's about redefining market presence. My laser pointer highlighted key projections on the screen behind me. Remington, sitting at the far end of the conference table, gave me a subtle thumbs up. After countless late nights preparing this presentation, we both knew how crucial this moment was. And you're certain about these numbers? Mr. Richardson himself leaned forward, his weathered face scrutinizing the data. I stake my reputation on them, I replied without hesitation. More importantly, I stake the future of both our companies on them. Lance cleared his throat from his seat beside Mr. Richardson. Quinn has never steered us wrong before. Her track record speaks for itself. The meeting concluded 2 hours later with handshakes and signed preliminary agreements. As the board members filed out, Lance pulled me aside. Outstanding work, he beamed. Though I have to ask, Why didn't you mention the promotion opportunity in Hong Kong? This merger's success practically guarantees you the position. My stomach tightened. The international division head role, a career-defining opportunity that happened to coincide with the upcoming family reunion dates. Still considering my options, I said carefully. Back at my desk, Remington perched on the edge, coffee in hand. Spill it. What's really holding you back? This is everything you've worked for. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Trinity's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. That's what's holding her back, Savannah announced, appearing with lunch bags. Family drama, as usual. I thought we were meeting at the cafe, I said, grateful for the interruption. Changed my mind. Besides, I wanted to see the aftermath of your big presentation. She distributed sandwiches, then fixed me with a knowing look. So, Hong Kong? News travels fast, I muttered. In this case, good news should travel fast, Remington insisted. You can't seriously be considering passing this up because of them? My phone buzzed again. A text from Trinity. Mom's asking if you got the reunion email. Please respond. Savannah grabbed my phone. Oh, hell no. You know what this is? This is them realizing they can't ignore you anymore. The family gossip vine must have caught wind of your success. Give me my phone back. I reached for it, but she held it away. Not until you promise to stop letting them dictate your life choices. I started to protest, but Remington cut me off. Quinn, remember last month's charity gala? When you commanded that room full of CEOs? That's who you really are, not the invisible middle child they made you feel like. My phone buzzed a third time. Nelson this time. Hey sis, long time. Got a minute to chat? Suddenly, everyone wants to talk, I said dryly. Because you're becoming impossible to ignore? Savannah grinned. Now, about Hong Kong. The timing, I began. Is perfect, Remington finished. Show them exactly what they're missing while they're playing happy family at their precious beach house. Lance appeared in my office doorway. Quinn, Mr. Richardson wants to discuss implementation strategies over dinner tonight. I stood, straightening my jacket. Text me the details. After Lance left, Savannah raised an eyebrow. Look at you, power moves only. It's just dinner, I said, but couldn't help smiling. Just dinner with one of the most influential men in the industry, Remington corrected, while your family probably thinks you're still pushing papers in some entry-level position. My phone lit up with another message, Mom this time. Quinn, dear, please call when you can. Important family matters to discuss. Savannah read it over my shoulder and snorted. Important family matters? Like how they're running out of excuses to exclude you? I picked up my presentation materials, mind already shifting to the dinner ahead. They can keep their excuses. I've got an empire to build. That's my girl, Remington grinned. Speaking of building things, have you made an offer on the beach house yet? Tomorrow, I said, checking my makeup in my compact mirror. The agent says we're the only serious buyers in this market. Perfect timing, Savannah sang, right before they announced this year's reunion details. As I gathered my things for the Richardson dinner, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. My family might have mastered the art of making me feel small, but in this world, my world, I was anything but. Hey, Remington called as I headed out. Don't forget who you are in there. Show them what Quinn Unleashed looks like. I smiled, thinking of the beach house listing waiting in my inbox. Oh, I plan to show everyone exactly who I am. Congratulations, Ms. Brooks. The beach house is yours. The real estate agent slid the keys across her desk, their metal surface gleaming under the fluorescent lights. My hand trembled slightly as I picked them up. These small pieces of metal represented more than just property ownership. They were the keys to my past and, more importantly, my future. I can't believe you actually did it, Savannah whispered beside me, squeezing my arm. The agent smiled professionally. The paperwork will be processed by end of business day. Given the current market conditions, You've made an incredibly shrewd investment. Walking out of the office, I held the keys so tight they left impressions in my palm. My phone buzzed. Lance calling. "Tell me you closed the deal," he said without preamble. "Just sign the papers." "Perfect timing. The Hong Kong position is yours if you want it. Board approved this morning." I stopped walking, causing Savannah to bump into me. "Already? I thought the decision wasn't until next month. Your performance at the Richardson dinner sealed it. Speaking of which, he specifically requested you lead the merger transition team." Savannah was practically bouncing with excitement, having heard both sides of the conversation. As I hung up, she grabbed my shoulders. "Okay, this is literally perfect. You own their precious beach house and you're about to become an international executive. Please tell me you're going to milk this for all it's worth." My phone chimed with a text from Trinity. "Family meeting this weekend about the reunion. Mom insists you come. Please?" "Oh, this is too good," Savannah cackled. "They have no idea you own their reunion venue." "Neither does the agent," I reminded her. "I made sure the purchase went through my corporation name." "Sneaky. I love it." She linked her arm through mine as we walked to the car. "So, what's the plan?" Before I could answer, Remington called. "Lance just told me the news. Both pieces of news. You're going to accept Hong Kong, right?" "I haven't decided," I said, putting him on speaker as we drove. "What's to decide? It's perfect. You can run the merger from Asia, build your international profile, and let your family stew in their regrets." "Speaking of stewing," Savannah chimed in, "Quinn just got summoned to a family meeting about the reunion." "No way," Remington laughed. "Are you going?" I turned onto the coastal road, heading toward the beach house, my beach house. "Actually, yes. I think it's time for a visit." The familiar drive felt different now. Every curve in the road, every glimpse of ocean between the trees belonged to me in a way it never had before. I parked in front of the sprawling Victorian home, its weathered blue paint and white trim exactly as I remembered. Savannah whistled low. "I forgot how gorgeous this place is. No wonder they're desperate to keep the reunions going." Walking up the steps, I unlocked the door with my new keys. The house smelled of sea salt and memories, summer nights, family dinners, whispered conversations. But now, underneath it all, was the sweet scent of victory. My phone rang. "Mom." "Quinn, are you coming this weekend? Trinity said she texted you." "Actually, Mom, I'm at the beach house right now." Silence. Then, "What? How? The realtor said it was sold." "Did she? Interesting." I walked through the living room, trailing my fingers along the familiar walls. "Don't worry about it. I'll see you this weekend." I hung up before she could respond. Savannah was recording everything on her phone, barely containing her glee. "That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Did you hear her voice crack?" "Send me that video," Remington said through the speaker. "I need it for posterity." I opened the French doors to the deck, breathing in the ocean air. You know what's funny? They always said I didn't understand the value of family tradition, but I'm the one who saved it. By buying it out from under them, Savannah added with a smirk. "Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying something," I said, watching the waves crash below. "It's about preserving it on your own terms." My phone buzzed again. Trinity, Nelson, and Mom in rapid succession. I ignored them all. "So," Remington's voice crackled through the speaker, "what's the next move, boss?" I smiled, picturing the upcoming family meeting. "Now we prepare for a reunion they'll never forget." "Want company this weekend?" Savannah offered. "I make an excellent witness." "No," I said, pulling out my laptop. "This is something I need to do alone. But first, I have a Hong Kong acceptance letter to write." Standing on my deck, watching my ocean, I felt the last pieces of my plan falling into place. The scared little girl who used to hide in this house's corners was gone. In her place stood someone they'd never expected, someone they'd have to acknowledge at last. The sound of car doors slamming jolted me from my laptop. I'd been working on merger documents all morning, enjoying the ocean view from my new home office, when the familiar voices drifted up from the driveway. "Mom, I'm telling you, Quinn was acting weird on the phone," Trinity's voice carried through the open windows. "She's always weird," Nelson replied. "Remember last Christmas?" I closed my laptop slowly, heart pounding. They were early. The family meeting wasn't supposed to be until tomorrow. Through the window, I watched them unloading their cars like they owned the place, which, of course, they no longer did. My phone buzzed. Remington. "Game time?" "They're here early," I texted back. "Wish me luck." "Show no mercy," came his instant reply. I heard the rattle of keys at the front door, followed by confused voices. "Mom, your key isn't working," Trinity called out. "That's impossible. I just had it checked last month." I walked downstairs, each step measured and deliberate in my Louboutins. The sound of my heels on the hardwood made the voices outside fall silent. Opening the door, I smiled at their shocked faces. "Looking for something?" "Quinn?" Mom's hand flew to her chest. "What are you doing here? How did you get in?" "I live here," I said simply, stepping aside. "Please come in. My house is your house. Literally." The silence that followed was delicious. Trinity's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Nelson dropped his duffel bag. "What do you mean you live here?" Mom finally managed. I walked to the kitchen knowing they'd follow. "Coffee? I just made a fresh pot. Colombian roast. I know how much you love it, Mom." "Quinn." Trinity's voice had that elder sister edge I knew so well. "What's going on?" I poured myself a cup, enjoying their confusion. "I thought the family meeting was tomorrow. Did I miss a memo?" "Oh, wait." I smiled over my cup. "I guess I'm not usually included in those." "Stop playing games," Nelson snapped. "How are you even in here? This is our family house." "Actually," I pulled out my phone, bringing up the property documents. "It's my house now. Has been for 2 weeks. Would you like to see the deed?" Mom sank into a kitchen chair. That's impossible. We would have known." "Would you? When was the last time any of you asked what I was doing with my life?" I leaned against the counter, savoring their expressions. "Coffee? No, your loss. It's imported." Trinity grabbed my phone, scrolling through the documents. "This can't be real. How could you possibly afford?" "The same way I afford my penthouse apartment, my vacation home in Aspen, and my car collection," I said casually. "I work." "Remember work? That thing you all said I'd never figure out?" "Your what?" Nelson choked. A car door slammed outside again. Dad's voice boomed through the open door. "Why is everyone standing around? Help me with these groceries." "In here, Dad," I called out. "Let me help you with those." He appeared in the doorway, bags in hand, and froze. "Quinn? What's going on?" Family meeting came early. I took the bags from him, unpacking them efficiently. "Though I should point out, next time you might want to check with me before buying groceries for my house." "Your house?" He looked at Mom, who was still sitting in shocked silence. "Perhaps we should all sit down," I suggested, gesturing to the dining room. "I believe we have some catching up to do." They followed me like dazed sheep, settling around the table where we'd had countless family meals I was often excluded from, relegated to the kitchen to help with dishes. "So," I settled at the head of the table, Dad's old spot, "about this year's reunion." "You can't just buy our family home," Trinity burst out. "This is our tradition." "Funny thing about traditions," I said, examining my manicure. "They're only as strong as the people maintaining them. When the bank called about foreclosure proceedings, where was your tradition then?" Mom's head snapped up. "How did you know about that?" "I know everything, Mom. I know about the missed payments, the second mortgage, the tax liens. I know because, unlike some people, I do my research before making investment decisions." My phone buzzed again. "Savannah. Need backup?" "All good. Operation Karma in progress, I texted back. Looking up at my family's stunned faces, I smiled. Now, about those reunion plans, I was thinking we might need to make some changes this year. After all, I gestured to the ocean view through the windows. New house, new rules. The look of dawning comprehension on their faces was better than any merger deal I'd ever closed. And we were just getting started. You could have told us, Trinity said, breaking the tense silence that had fallen over the dining room, about your success, your career, everything. Could I? I raised an eyebrow. When? Between being uninvited to family gatherings or during those holiday calls that never came? Dad cleared his throat. Now, Quinn, that's not entirely fair. Fair, I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make Mom flinch. Let's talk about fair. Remember my college graduation? When you all skipped it because Nelson had a soccer game? That was different, Mom protested weakly. Nelson was up for a scholarship, which he didn't get, I finished. Meanwhile, I was accepting my MBA with honors. Not that any of you knew, since you never asked. My phone buzzed. Lance. Hong Kong announcement goes public tomorrow. Want me to delay? Perfect timing. Proceed as planned. I texted back. Nelson leaned forward. So what now? You're going to hold this over our heads? Make us beg to use our own family house? Your family house? I stood, walking to the renovated kitchen. Come see what your family house looked like when I bought it. The rotting deck boards, the leaking roof, the outdated wiring that was one storm away from burning this place down. I opened a folder on the counter, spreading out before and after photos. 60,000 in repairs just to make it livable. Another 100,000 in renovations. Where was your family pride then? Trinity picked up a photo, her face paling. We didn't know it was this bad. Because none of you bothered to check. You just assumed everything would magically take care of itself, like you assumed I'd never amount to anything. Dad stood up suddenly. That's enough. We may have made mistakes, but you're still our daughter. Am I? I turned to face him. Because from where I'm standing, I've been your afterthought for 20 years. My phone lit up with a news alert. The Hong Kong announcement had leaked early. Mom's phone buzzed seconds later, her eyes widening as she read. Vice President of International Operations? She whispered. Quinn, you're moving to Hong Kong? Among other things, I smiled, pouring myself more coffee. The merger I just closed is worth more than this house and everything in it. Trinity grabbed Mom's phone, reading aloud. Youngest executive in company history, revolutionary merger strategy, projected to triple market share. Impossible, Nelson muttered. You're just Quinn. Just Quinn, I repeated softly. Funny how that works, isn't it? The daughter you never believed in now owns your precious beach house and runs a global division. Dad sank back into his chair. Why didn't you tell us? I did. Every time I tried to talk about work, you changed the subject to Trinity's kids or Nelson's latest venture. Every achievement, every promotion met with polite disinterest. My phone buzzed again. Remington. Stocks up 12% on the Hong Kong news. You're trending on LinkedIn. Mom was still staring at her phone. These numbers, Quinn, these are more money than you can imagine, I supplied. Yes, they are, and that's just the beginning. So what happens now? Trinity asked quietly. With the reunion? With everything? I walked to the windows, looking out at the ocean I now owned. Now we do things differently. The reunion will happen, but under new management. Meaning, Nelson challenged. Meaning I've already booked the top floor of the Four Seasons for everyone. The beach house, I turned back to them, needs some private time with its new owner. You're kicking us out? Mom's voice cracked. No, Mom, I'm showing you what it feels like to be excluded. The difference is I'm doing it with 5-star accommodations and an ocean view. Dad stood again, this time more slowly. We deserved that, all of it. But Quinn, are you sure this is what you want? What I want? I looked at each of them in turn. What I want is 20 years of missed birthdays and ignored accomplishments. What I want is an explanation for why I was never good enough. But since I can't have those things, I pulled out a stack of hotel reservations, sliding them across the table. I'll settle for watching you all realize exactly what you missed out on. Trinity picked up a reservation, gasping at the sweet description. This must have cost less than an hour of my new salary, I cut her off. Consider it a parting gift before Hong Kong. How long? Mom asked, her voice small. How long will you be gone? I smiled, thinking of all the family events I'd missed over the years. Long enough for you to understand what absence feels like. Now, shall we discuss those new reunion rules? The silence that followed was heavy with 2 decades of regret, none of it mine. The Four Seasons lobby buzzed with activity as my family checked into their suites. I stood back, watching Trinity's kids race around the marble columns, while Nelson awkwardly tried to impress the concierge with small talk. Your car is ready, Ms. Quinn. The valet approached with a discreet bow. Mom's head snapped around at his deferent tone. I saw her eyes widen as she took in my Bentley waiting outside. Quinn, she called out, hurrying over. We need to talk. Properly talk. Actually, I have a meeting. I checked my watch. The merger doesn't pause for family drama. Please, she touched my arm, the first physical contact we'd had in years. Just coffee? 20 minutes? I studied her face, noting the new wrinkles around her eyes. Fine, the rooftop lounge, 15 minutes. Upstairs, Mom fidgeted with her coffee cup while I answered urgent emails about Hong Kong. Finally, she spoke. I didn't know you were so accomplished. Clearly, I set my phone down, though you never asked. We thought... She paused, searching for words. After you dropped out of law school, I didn't drop out, I corrected sharply. I got accepted to business school instead, a full scholarship to Harvard, which you'd know if you'd bothered to read any of my letters. Your father and I, we just wanted you to have a stable career. Like Trinity's law practice that she never actually started, or Nelson's string of failed startups that you kept funding. The door opened and Savannah walked in, stopping short when she saw us. Oh, sorry. I can come back. No, stay, I waved her over. Mom was just explaining why they never believed in me. Mrs. Brooks, Savannah nodded coolly. Long time no see. Though I guess you wouldn't remember me from all those holidays I spent with Quinn while you were at Trinity's house. Mom had the grace to look embarrassed. Savannah, of course I remember you. Save it. Savannah sat down. I'm just here to finalize the Hong Kong details with Quinn. You know, for her massive promotion that you all ignored. My phone buzzed. Trinity. Mom okay? She looks upset. She's fine, I texted back, learning some hard truths. Quinn, Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Were we really that terrible? Savannah snorted, but I held up a hand. You weren't terrible, Mom. You were indifferent, which was worse. We can fix this, she pleaded. Now that you know I'm successful, I finished. Now that I have money and power and influence, that's not fixing things. That's just changing your mind because I proved you wrong. The door opened again, Dad this time. Your mother's been gone a while. Oh. Join us. I gestured to an empty chair. We're having a lovely chat about family dynamics. He sat heavily. Quinn, about the beach house. Already done, I cut him off. The back taxes are paid, the liens are cleared, and the property is fully renovated. You're welcome. That's not... He started. Not what you meant? I smiled tightly. No, it never is. Savannah opened her laptop. Quinn, we need to finalize your Hong Kong housing allowance. They're offering 3 options. The penthouse in Victoria Harbour, I said, without looking. I already decided. Mom's coffee cup clattered. Penthouse? Did you think international executives live in studio apartments? Savannah asked sweetly. My phone lit up with another text. Nelson, family dinner tonight, my treat? Can't, I replied. Board dinner at Le Bernardin. Quinn? Dad leaned forward. We know we messed up, but pushing us away now, buying the beach house, moving to Hong Kong, is this really the answer? I stood, smoothing my skirt. The beach house isn't about pushing you away. It's about taking control of something you never thought I deserved. As for Hong Kong, I smiled. That's just good business. When will we see you? Mom's voice cracked. I'll be back for holidays. I gathered my things. Maybe, if I'm not too busy running my division. Savannah stood with me, her face triumphant. Don't worry, Mrs. Brooks. I'm sure Trinity will keep you updated on all the family news. She always has before. As we walked out, I heard Mom start to cry. Part of me wanted to turn back, to comfort her like I always had. But that part was getting smaller every day. You okay? Savannah asked in the elevator. I checked my reflection in the mirrored walls, adjusting my designer blazer. Never better. Ready for that board dinner? Born ready, she grinned. Though I have to ask, are you really going to make them stay at the hotel all reunion week? I smiled as the elevator doors opened. Oh, that's just the beginning. Wait until they see what I have planned for Christmas. The reunion dinner at the Four Seasons Ballroom was everything I'd orchestrated it to be. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, string quartet music floated through the air, and my family sat at the main table looking thoroughly uncomfortable in their business casual attire amid the formal setting. Is all this really necessary? Nelson tugged at his borrowed tie. The concierge had supplied emergency formal wear when I'd forgotten to mention the dress code. You mean the 5-star catering? The premium open bar? The private balcony overlooking the ocean? I sipped my champagne. Consider it making up for all those reunions I missed. Trinity's husband whistled as servers presented the appetizers. This caviar is real beluga, isn't it? Only the best for family, I smiled. Though I'm sure it's nothing compared to the sandwich platters you usually serve at reunions. Mom hadn't touched her food. Quinn, can we talk? Privately? I led her to the balcony where the ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and money. Behind us, I could hear Trinity's kids exclaiming over the chocolate fountain. This is cruel, Mom said quietly. Cruel? I turned to face her. Treating my family to luxury is cruel? You know what I mean. Flaunting your success like this. The way you flaunted Trinity's law school graduation? Or Nelson's engagement party? I leaned against the railing. The parties I wasn't invited to? We were wrong, she whispered. Is that what you want to hear? What I want, I said carefully, is for you to understand exactly what you missed out on. Every promotion, every achievement, every milestone you ignored. It all led to this. To me, becoming someone who can book an entire hotel floor without blinking. The balcony door opened. Lance had arrived. Quinn? He nodded, then turned to Mom. Mrs. Brooks, I'm Lance Whitfield. I've been mentoring your daughter for the past decade. Mom's eyes widened. You're her boss? The one from the news? Actually, Lance smiled. As of next month, Quinn will be my equal in the corporate hierarchy. Possibly even my superior, given her trajectory. I watched Mom process this information, seeing the reality of my success finally sink in. The Hong Kong position, she said slowly. It's really that significant? Mom, I laughed. I'll be running operations for half of Asia. My signing bonus alone could buy the beach house twice over. Lance checked his watch. Speaking of which, the Tokyo office is waiting for our call, shall we? Of course, I turned to Mom. Enjoy the rest of dinner. The dessert course includes gold leaf. Try not to think about the cost. As we walked away, Lance muttered, brutal. I love it. Back in the ballroom, Remington had arrived with a surprise. Copies of tomorrow's Wall Street Journal, featuring my face on the business section. Hot off the press, he announced, distributing them to my shocked family members. Thought you might want a souvenir of your daughter's success. Dad picked up a copy with trembling hands. Global market leadership, revolutionary approach to international commerce. Don't strain yourself, Dad, I called out. The numbers might be a bit overwhelming for a small-town insurance agent. Trinity was reading aloud to her husband. Youngest executive to lead Asian operations, projected to increase market share by 300% within 5 years. Quinn, Nelson stood up suddenly. Can I talk to you about a business opportunity? Sorry, little brother. I checked my phone. My investment portfolio is fully managed, but I hear there are some great entry-level positions at my company. The string quartet began playing again as servers brought out the main course, Wagyu beef with truffle sauce. I watched my family try to maintain their composure amid the luxury they'd never imagined their forgotten daughter could provide. Your car is ready for the Tokyo call. The concierge appeared at my elbow. Thank you, James. I handed him a $100 bill. Make sure my family gets anything they need. Of course, Ms. Quinn. As I gathered my things, Mom caught my arm. When will you be back? From Hong Kong? I looked around the ballroom, at the opulence, at my stunned family, at the life I'd built without them. You know what, Mom? I'm not sure. But don't worry, I'll send pictures, just like you all did with the reunion photos all these years. Walking out, I heard Remington announcing to the room, and wait until you hear about her new penthouse in Victoria Harbour. The sound of my heels on marble echoed through the lobby, each step taking me further from the family that never believed in me, and closer to the empire I'd built on their doubt. Let them eat Wagyu, I thought, and choke on every golden bite. The morning sun painted the beach house in golden light as I packed the last of my essentials for Hong Kong. Savannah sat on my bed, helping me sort through old photos I'd found in the attic. Look at this one. She held up a faded picture. Your 10th birthday. You're the only one looking at the camera while everyone fawns over Trinity's new puppy. A knock at the door interrupted my response. Mom stood in the doorway holding a small wooden box. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I nodded, continuing to pack. She sat on the edge of the bed, turning the box in her hands. I found this in our attic, she said. It's everything I saved about you, everything I was too proud to admit I kept. She opened the box. Inside were newspaper clippings, honor roll certificates, even the program from my MBA graduation they'd skipped. You kept these? My hands stilled on a silk blouse. Every single one, she whispered. I told myself I was being practical, not encouraging pipe dreams. But really, I was scared. Scared of what? That you'd succeed where I failed. That you'd break free from the small-town life I settled for. She pulled out a business magazine from last year, one with my name and a 30 under 40 feature. And you did. Savannah stood quietly. I'll give you 2 a minute. No, I caught her arm. Stay. You're more family than most of them have been. My phone buzzed. Trinity. At the beach. Can we talk? Send her up, I texted back. Minutes later, Trinity appeared, looking uncertain in the doorway. Nelson's here too, and Dad. We wanted to see you before you left. They filed in, creating a cramped audience in my bedroom. Nelson clutched a manila envelope. What's that? I nodded toward it. Investment proposals, he admitted. But not for me, for the beach house. We've all contributed, if you'll let us. I raised an eyebrow. I don't need your money. We know, Dad stepped forward, but we need to invest in something we should have invested in years ago, our family. Pretty words, I said, but actions speak louder. Then let our actions show you. Trinity pulled out her phone. I've postponed my partnership acceptance, taking a sabbatical. Thought maybe I could visit you in Hong Kong, really get to know my sister. And I've enrolled in business courses, Nelson added. Online classes. Thought maybe you could mentor me, actually do it right this time? Mom opened her box again, pulling out one last item, a key. We don't expect you to forgive us, she said, but maybe we can build something new, something better. I looked at the key. What's this for? The front door, she smiled sadly. I kept it all these years thinking it meant something, but you showed us what really matters isn't keys or houses or reunions. It's the people we choose to become. Savannah squeezed my hand as I took the key. I'm still going to Hong Kong, I said firmly. We know, they replied in unison. And I'm still angry. You should be, Dad acknowledged. And this doesn't fix everything. Nothing could, Mom said softly. But maybe it's a start. I walked to the window looking out at our ocean. My ocean. Behind me, I heard the rustle of Nelson's papers, Trinity's nervous breathing, Mom's box of hidden pride. The reunion, I said finally, will alternate between here and Hong Kong, and you'll all need passports. The tension broke. Trinity laughed through tears. Nelson dropped his envelope, and Dad had to sit down. Really? Mom's voice shook. Really? I turned back to them. But not because you've earned it. Because I choose it. There's a difference. Savannah grinned. Does this mean I get to plan the Hong Kong reunion? Because I have ideas. You're all going to learn Mandarin, I continued, and proper business etiquette, and how to navigate international markets. Whatever it takes, Nelson said, and for once, I believed him. My phone buzzed. Lance. Car's here for the airport. That's my cue. I picked up my carry-on. Quinn? Mom stood. Thank you. Not for the forgiveness we don't deserve, but for the chance we didn't earn. I looked at them all, my imperfect, struggling, finally trying family. Don't waste it. Walking down to the waiting car, I heard them following, saw their reflections in the polished black paint, not chasing me anymore, but walking with me, different, but possible. Hong Kong won't know what hit it, Savannah declared, hugging me goodbye. I smiled, thinking of the view from my new office, the family learning to speak my language, the future expanding like the horizon before us. Neither will they, I said, and got in the car. The beach house stood proud behind us, no longer a symbol of exclusion, but a bridge between who we were and who we might become. Not perfect, but possible. And for now, that was enough.
The eviction notice felt like ice in my hands, its crisp edges cutting through the warmth of my birthday celebration. Just moments ago, I'd been smiling, surrounded by family, thinking this was going to be my best birthday yet. I'm Vivienne, and this is how my 30th birthday became the day my family betrayed me. Open it, dear. We're all so excited for you to see what's inside. My mother had urged, her eyes twinkling with what I now realize wasn't joy, but anxiety. The fancy envelope had seemed innocent enough, wrapped in silver paper with a delicate bow. The living room of my childhood home, the one I'd spent the last 5 years renovating, was filled with familiar faces. My cousin Salah sat perched on the armrest of the sofa, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. My brother Jace stood by the fireplace, hands shoved deep in his pockets, avoiding my gaze. Come on, Viv, we haven't got all day, Selah had chirped, her voice honey-sweet. I remember thinking how odd it was that she'd dressed up so formally for a simple family gathering. As I tore open the envelope, birthday cake still sweet on my tongue, the legal document inside made my stomach drop. Notice of eviction, stared back at me in bold, unforgiving letters. What is this? My voice came out barely above a whisper. Mom? Dad? My mother's face crumpled. Sweetheart, we've been trying to find the right time to tell you. Tell me what? I stood up, the paper trembling in my hands. That you're kicking me out of my own home? The home I've poured my savings into? My heart into? Selah cleared her throat. Vivienne, be reasonable. The house was never officially yours. The deed is still in your parents' names, and they've decided it's time for a change. A change? I spun to face her. What do you know about this? I'm just trying to help the family make the best financial decision, she said, smoothing her designer skirt. The market's hot right now and— The market? I laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. This is my home, not some investment property. My brother finally spoke up. Viv, maybe we should discuss this privately. No. I slammed the paper down on the coffee table, making the cake plates rattle. I want answers now. Mom, Dad, why are you doing this? My father wouldn't meet my eyes. There have been concerns about your ability to maintain the property properly. Selah has shown us some concerning documentation. Documentation? I felt like I was drowning. What documentation? I've done nothing but improve this house. Look around you. New hardwood floors, updated kitchen, restored Victorian details. I did all of that. With questionable contractors. Selah interjected softly. And there are the noise complaints from neighbors, the unauthorized modifications. That's absolutely false. My voice cracked. I turned to my best friend Paisley, who stood frozen in the corner. Paise, tell them. You've been here through all the renovations. Paisley stepped forward, her face fierce. Everything Vivian's done has been by the book. I've seen all the permits myself, but my family's expressions remained unchanged. My mother reached for my hand. Sweetie, you have 30 days to— I jerked away from her touch. 30 days? To leave my home? On my birthday? The room started spinning. How long have you been planning this? Selah stood up, straightening her blazer. I think we should all calm down and discuss this rationally. The decision's been made, Vivian. Fighting it will only make things harder. Looking at her face, that perfectly composed mask of false concern, something clicked. This wasn't just about the house. This was calculated, planned. The formal outfit, the documentation she'd mentioned, the way she'd positioned herself as the voice of reason. Get out, I whispered, then louder. Everyone get out. Vivian, my mother started. Now, they filed out one by one, leaving only Paisley behind. As the door closed behind my family, I collapsed onto the couch, the eviction notice mocking me from the coffee table. Paisley sat beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. This isn't over, Viv. Something's not right here, and we're going to figure it out. I wiped my eyes, anger replacing shock. You're right. Selah's behind this somehow. She's always wanted this house, ever since we were kids. I straightened up, a new determination flooding through me. And I'm going to prove it. Looking around at my beloved home, at the walls I'd painted, the fixtures I'd restored, the memories I'd built, I made a promise to myself. This wouldn't be the last birthday I'd celebrate here. Not if I had anything to say about it. The morning after my disastrous birthday, I sat at my kitchen counter, staring at my phone. 17 missed calls from Mom. 5 from Jace. None from Selah, of course. You need to eat something, Paisley said, sliding a plate of toast in front of me. She'd stayed the night, sleeping on my couch like we used to do in college. You can't fight this on an empty stomach. I pushed the plate away. I can't eat. I need to figure out what Selah's been telling my parents. My hands shook as I pulled up my mother's contact information. I'm calling her. Put it on speaker, Paisley said, settling beside me. Mom answered on the first ring. Vivian, thank goodness, we've been so worried. Save it. I cut her off. I want to know exactly what Selah's been saying about me. A heavy sigh crackled through the speaker. Honey, it's not just what Selah said. She showed us documentation of unauthorized construction, complaints from the neighborhood association. That's impossible. I slammed my hand on the counter. I have every permit, every approval right here in my files. Who specifically complained? Well, I don't have the actual complaints in front of me. Selah handled all of that. Of course she did. I laughed bitterly. And did you bother to verify any of it? To ask me about it before ambushing me on my birthday? Silence stretched between us. Mom? Selah said you deny everything. She finally replied, her voice small. She said you've been struggling financially, that you've been cutting corners. I want copies of everything, I demanded. Every document, every complaint, everything Selah showed you. Today. Vivian, please understand. No, you understand. That house is my life. I've put every penny I have into it, and I'm not leaving without a fight. I hung up before she could respond. Paisley squeezed my shoulder. That's my girl. Now what? Now we gather evidence. I grabbed my laptop. I need proof that Selah's lying. My phone buzzed. A text from Jace. Meet me at Carlo's Coffee in 30. Need to talk. 20 minutes later, I walked into Carlo's, spotting my brother in our usual corner booth. His face was drawn. Guilty. You knew, I accused, sliding into the seat across from him. You knew what they were planning. Jace ran a hand through his hair. I found out yesterday morning. Mom and Dad swore me to secrecy. Said Selah had proof you were in trouble. And you believed her? Of course not. He leaned forward. Look, something weird is going on. Last week, I overheard Selah on the phone talking about property values and development opportunities in the neighborhood. My heart stopped. Development opportunities? Yeah. And get this, her fiancé Valentin? His family owns that new luxury condo complex downtown. The pieces started falling into place. Our street was one of the last historic areas in town, prime for development. My house sat on the largest lot. She wants to sell it to developers, I whispered. That's why she's doing this. There's more, Jace said. I did some digging. Selah's been meeting with the City Planning Commission. And guess who else attended those meetings? Mom and Dad? He nodded. They think they're protecting you from financial ruin, but Selah's playing them. She's convinced them selling is the only way to save you from yourself. My phone buzzed again. An email from Mom with attachments. I opened them, scanning quickly. These documents. I showed them to Jace. The letterhead is wrong. The permit numbers don't match my records. She forged them. Keep your voice down, Jace warned, glancing around. Selah's got friends everywhere. I don't care. This is proof she's lying. I stood up, energized. I need to show Mom and Dad. Wait. Jace grabbed my wrist. Selah's wedding to Valentin is in 2 weeks. Everyone will be there. Family, friends, business associates. If you're going to expose her, that's your chance to do it properly. I sank back into my seat, mind racing. 2 weeks to gather evidence, to prove she's trying to steal my home for her fiancé's development company. I'll help, Jace said firmly. So will Paisley, but we have to be smart about this. I nodded, determination replacing despair. Selah thinks she's won, that I'll just roll over and accept this, but she has no idea what I'm capable of. Walking home, I called Paisley. Hey, remember that friend of yours who works at the city planning office? We need to talk to her. Now. The game was on, and this time I was playing to win. The planning office smelled like stale coffee and printer ink. Paisley's friend Amanda pulled another file from the cabinet, adding it to the growing stack on her desk. These are all the development proposals for your neighborhood from the past 6 months, she said, keeping her voice low despite the empty office. Including 3 from Valrum Development Group. Valentin's company. I muttered, flipping through the pages. My hands froze on a familiar sketch. This is my house. Paisley leaned over my shoulder. Look at the date. This was filed 2 months ago. Before the eviction notice, I said, anger building. Before any of this started. Amanda glanced nervously at the door. There's something else? These signatures here? She pointed to the bottom of the document. Your parents' names, authorizing the preliminary survey. My stomach lurched. They've been planning this for months. Viv. Paisley grabbed my arm, pointing to another name. Look who notarized it. The name jumped off the page. Marcus Quinn, Selah's father. That sneaky little... I stopped as footsteps echoed in the hallway. Amanda quickly gathered the files, shoving them back into the cabinet. I've got copies at my desk, she whispered. I'll email them to you tonight. We barely made it out before someone entered the office. In the parking lot, I leaned against my car, trying to steady my breathing. "We need to talk to Valentin," Paisley said. "Maybe he doesn't know what Sella's doing." "He has to know. His company filed the proposals." My phone rang. Jace. "Sis, you need to get to Mom and Dad's. Now." "What's wrong?" "Selah's here with some contractor talking about renovation plans. They're acting like they already own the place." I was already in my car. "I'm coming." 15 minutes later, I stormed through my parents' front door. Selah's voice drifted from the kitchen, smooth as honey. "The whole street will benefit from the modernization. Property values will soar over my dead body," I announced, making them all jump. Selah recovered first, her smile never wavering. "Vivian, we were just discussing the neighborhood's future." "You mean your future? Your fiancé's future?" I slapped the development proposals on the kitchen table. "When were you going to tell everyone about Valram's plans?" My mother's face paled. "What is she talking about, Selah?" "Don't listen to her," Selah said quickly. "She's just upset about the eviction. Show them," I demanded. "Show them the real reason you want my house." The contractor cleared his throat awkwardly. "I should go." "Stay," Selah commanded. "Vivian's just causing drama, as usual. Always so emotional about everything." "Emotional?" I laughed. "You forged documents. You lied to my parents. You're trying to steal my home for your fiancé's development project." "That's enough," my father shouted. "Selah's been nothing but helpful." "Helpful?" I grabbed the proposals, throwing them in front of him. "Look at the dates. Look at the signatures. She's been planning this for months." My mother picked up the papers with trembling hands. These aren't the documents you showed us, Selah." "Because they're fake," Selah snapped. "Vivian's desperate. She'll say anything." "I have copies from the city planning office," I cut in. "Official copies. Want to see them?" For the first time, Selah's composure cracked. "You went through official records?" And I found everything. The fake complaints, the forged permits, the development plans. It's all there. The contractor stood up. "Ms. Shelton, if there's some kind of legal issue—" "There's no issue," she said through gritted teeth. "Everything's fine." My phone buzzed. An email from Amanda with the promised documents. I held up my phone triumphantly. "Want to see the proof? It's right here." Selah's face hardened. "You have no idea what you're doing, Vivian. No idea who you're dealing with. No, you have no idea who you're dealing with." I turned to my parents. "Check your emails. I'm sending you everything. Every lie, every manipulation, every secret meeting with Valram Development." "Selah?" My mother's voice was small. "Is this true?" But Selah was already heading for the door, the contractor trailing behind her. At the threshold, she turned back. "This isn't over, Vivian. Not by a long shot." After she left, silence filled the kitchen. My father stared at the documents, his face ashen. "We should have asked you," he finally said. "Should have verified." "Yes, you should have." I gathered the papers. "But now you know the truth. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" I left them there, surrounded by evidence of their own misplaced trust. In my car, I called Paisley. "Phase 1 complete," I said. "Now we go after Valentin." Finding Valentin proved easier than I expected. He was at his usual lunch spot, a trendy cafe downtown with his sister Leah. I smoothed my blazer and approached their table, Paisley close behind me. "Mind if we join you?" I asked, not waiting for an answer before sliding into the empty chair. Valentin's fork clattered against his plate. "Vivian, what are you doing here?" Funny story. I was just at the city planning office looking at some very interesting documents about my house. Leah's eyes narrowed. "Your house? The Victorian that Selah mentioned?" "The same one your brother's company plans to demolish," I said, watching Valentin's face carefully. "Demolish?" Leah turned to her brother. Val, what is she talking about? Valentine dabbed his mouth with a napkin. This isn't the place. It's exactly the place, I interrupted, pulling out the development proposals. Your company filed these 2 months ago. Before the eviction notice, before all of Selah's lies. Leah snatched the papers, her face darkening as she read. You're planning to tear down the entire street? Replace it with condos? It's a sound business decision, Valentine defended. The neighborhood's undervalued. It's my home, I cut in. And Selah's been manipulating my family to get it. She said your parents were willing sellers, Valentine said, but I caught the uncertainty in his voice. Paisley leaned forward. They were willing because Selah showed them forged documents claiming Vivian was mismanaging the property. She lied to everyone. Leah pushed her plate away, disgust evident. Is this why you're rushing the wedding? To close this deal? The timing is convenient, he admitted. Convenient? I laughed bitterly. You're destroying people's homes, their histories. Progress requires sacrifice. Valentine started, but Leah cut him off. No, this requires deception, and I won't be part of it. She stood up, gathering her things. Count me out of the wedding party. Leah, wait. Valentine called after his sister, but she was already storming out. I smiled sweetly. Trouble in paradise? You have no right to interfere in my business dealings, he hissed, and you have no right to my house. I stood up. By the way, I've sent copies of everything to the City Ethics Board. They're very interested in how Valram obtained those preliminary approvals. The color drained from his face. You're bluffing. Try me. I dropped a business card on the table. That's my lawyer's number. Use it. Outside, Leah was waiting by my car. I want to help. Why should I trust you? Because I've watched Selah manipulate my brother for months. Because I've seen the way she operates. Leah's eyes flashed. And because I have access to Valram's internal files. Paisley grabbed my arm. Viv, this could be huge. What's in it for you? I asked Leah. Justice, and the satisfaction of watching Selah's perfect plan implode. She pulled out her phone. Starting with these emails between her and my brother, dating back 6 months, I scanned the messages, my heart racing. There it was. Explicit discussion of their scheme to pressure my parents, to force the sale, to fast-track the development. This is exactly what we need, Paisley breathed. There's more, Leah said. Board meetings, private conversations, financial arrangements. I can get you everything. My phone buzzed, a text from Jace. Mom and Dad want to talk. They've seen the evidence. Looks like the tide is turning, I told Leah. But we need to move fast. The wedding's in 10 days. Perfect timing for everything to fall apart. She smiled grimly. I'll send you what I have tonight. As Leah walked away, Paisley turned to me. Are you sure about this? Using her? She's using us too, I pointed out. But right now we want the same thing. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. The message made my blood run cold. Back off now or you'll regret it. Some things are worth more than a house. S. Paisley read over my shoulder. She's threatening you. She's desperate, I corrected, saving the message as evidence. And desperate people make mistakes. I headed toward my car, determination fueling every step. Let's go see my parents. It's time to show them exactly who they've been protecting. The pieces were falling into place, faster than I'd hoped. But Selah's threat lingered in my mind, a warning that this fight was far from over. And something told me the worst was yet to come. I woke to the sound of breaking glass. Jumping out of bed, I rushed downstairs to find my front window shattered, a brick lying among the shards. A note was wrapped around it. Final warning. My hands shook as I called the police. While waiting, I texted Paisley and Jace. They arrived before the officers did. This has gone too far, Jace said, examining the brick. You need to be careful, Viv. I'm not backing down now, I handed the note to the police officer who was taking my statement. This is connected to a larger situation. I have documentation. Just file a restraining order, the officer suggested, looking bored. Not much we can do without proof of who threw it. After they left, Paisley helped me board up the window. At least we have Leah's evidence now. Those emails she sent last night are devastating. Speaking of which, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from my mother. I need to go see them. They've had time to process everything. I'm coming with you, Jace insisted. 20 minutes later, we sat in our parents' living room. Mom's eyes were red from crying. We've been such fools, she whispered. All those documents Salah showed us, we wanted to believe she was helping. The development plans, Dad added, his voice heavy. We had no idea they planned to demolish the whole street. We thought they were just renovating. Sela knew exactly what buttons to push, I said. She played on your concerns about me, made you think I was in trouble. She's been manipulating this family for years, Jace added. Remember when she convinced you to give her grandma's jewelry instead of Viv? Mom's face crumpled. She said you didn't want it, that you thought it was old-fashioned. I never said that. I swallowed hard. Just like I never made unauthorized changes to the house. Never had complaints from neighbors. We know that now, Dad said. We've talked to everyone on the street. No one ever complained. In fact, they all love what you've done with the place. My phone buzzed. Leah. Emergency. Meet me at Riverside Park. Now. I have to go. I stood up. But first, are you with me on this? Really with me? Mom squared her shoulders. We'll do whatever it takes to make this right. At the park, Leah paced near the fountain, her face pale. Salah knows I helped you. She's threatening to reveal something about my past to the board of Valrum. What something? A mistake I made years ago. It could ruin my career. She ran her hands through her hair. I can't risk it. Hey, I grabbed her shoulders. Whatever it is, it can't be worse than what she's doing now. You don't understand. My whole life could fall apart. Then let it. The words came out harder than I intended. Sometimes you have to lose everything to do the right thing. Leah's eyes filled with tears. Easy for you to say. You're just fighting for a house. No, I'm fighting for justice, for truth. For every person Sela has ever manipulated or hurt. I softened my tone. Including you. She wiped her eyes. There's something else. I overheard Valentine on the phone. They're moving up the timeline. They want to close the deal right after the wedding. That's in a week. Less. The rehearsal dinner is in 3 days. Leah straightened up. You're right. I can't let her win. Not again. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Hope you enjoyed the brick. Next time it won't be your window. S. I showed Leah the message. Her face hardened. She's really losing it. Good, I said. The more desperate she gets, the more mistakes she'll make. The rehearsal dinner, Leah said suddenly. All the investors will be there. The board members, the family. Perfect time to expose everything. But Sela will be expecting something. She'll be prepared. I smiled grimly. Then we'll have to be better prepared. I need every document, every email, every piece of evidence you can get. And I need them tonight. Leah nodded. I'll have them to you in 2 hours. As she walked away, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Paisley. Your mom just called. Salah's at their house. She's crying, saying you're trying to ruin her life. Your parents aren't buying it, but she's putting on quite a show. I texted back. Let her perform. In 3 days, she'll have a real reason to cry. The stakes were higher now, the threats more serious. But with each desperate move Sela made, she only proved how close we were to bringing her down. The countdown to the rehearsal dinner had begun. The day before the rehearsal dinner, I sat in my lawyer's office, surrounded by stacks of evidence. Sarah, my attorney, flipped through the documents with growing interest. These emails between Sela and Valram are damning, she said. And the forged documents? That's criminal. But is it enough? I asked. To stop the development? Absolutely. To press charges? Probably. She leaned forward. But are you sure you want to do this at the rehearsal dinner? It's perfect timing. All the investors will be there, plus the entire family. My phone buzzed. Another threat from Sela. Last chance to back down. Remember, I know about Miami. Sarah caught my expression. What's wrong? She's trying to blackmail me now. I showed her the text. But the Miami thing, it's nothing. Just a spring break mistake from college that she thinks she can use against me. Document everything, Sarah advised, handing me a USB drive. I've organized all the evidence here, including the police report about the brick. Are you sure you don't want private security? I'll be fine. Jason Paisley will be with me tomorrow night. Outside the office, I found Leah waiting in her car. Get in. There's something you need to see. She drove us to Valrum's office building, parking in the underground garage. Valentine and Sela are in a board meeting upstairs, but look at this. She pulled out her tablet, showing me security footage from earlier that day. Sela was arguing with someone in the garage. Her father. Turn up the volume, I said. I can't keep covering for you, her father was saying. The notary stamps, the forged documents, it's too much risk. Daddy, please, just one more day. After the rehearsal dinner, it won't matter anymore. What's happening after the rehearsal dinner? I asked Leah. I don't know, but they've booked a private room at the restaurant. Invitation only, after the main event. My phone rang. Paisley. Viv, you need to get home now. Someone's been in your house. I broke every speed limit getting back. Paisley and Jace were waiting outside. Inside, my breath caught. Every renovation I'd done, every wall I'd painted, every fixture I'd restored, had been photographed and marked with bright red X's. They're documenting everything they plan to destroy, Jace said quietly. Paisley picked up a business card left on the counter. Look who's handling the demolition. The company name made my blood boil. It belonged to Sela's uncle. They're keeping it all in the family, I said bitterly. How did they even get in? Your mom called, Jace said. Sela asked to borrow her spare key this morning. Said she needed to measure for wedding decorations. And Mom gave it to her? No. But when she refused, Sela broke down crying, saying you were trying to ruin her special day. Mom felt guilty and admitted where she keeps the spare. I sank onto the stairs, looking at the red X's everywhere. This was my grandmother's house. I learned to walk on these floors. Had my first kiss in that bay window. And you're not going to lose it, Paisley said firmly. Tomorrow night, we end this. My phone buzzed with a text from Leah. Emergency. Salah's changed the seating arrangements. You're not invited to the private meeting anymore. Doesn't matter, I texted back. We'll do it during the main dinner. More witnesses that way. I spent the rest of the day with Sarah, finalizing our strategy. By nightfall, everything was ready. Lying in bed that night, I heard footsteps on my porch. Grabbing my phone to call the police, I crept to the window. But it was just my mother, leaving something by the door. I opened it to find a small package with a note. Your grandmother wanted you to have this. I should have given it to you years ago. Love, Mom. Inside was my grandmother's antique locket, the one Sela had claimed I didn't want. Opening it, I found a tiny photograph of my grandmother standing proudly in front of the house, the day she bought it. My phone lit up with one final threat from Sela. Hope you're ready for tomorrow, because I am. I touched the locket, then looked at the red X's marking my walls. Bring it on, I whispered. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either I'd save my home and expose Salah's schemes, or I'd lose everything I'd fought for. But looking at my grandmother's proud smile in that old photograph, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't going down without a fight. The rehearsal dinner couldn't come soon enough. The rehearsal dinner buzzed with nervous energy. Salah held court at the main table, resplendent in white, while Valentine worked the room, charming investors. I sat between Paisley and Jace, my grandmother's locket cool against my skin, waiting for the right moment. Look who just arrived, Paisley whispered. Sarah, my lawyer, walked in with Leah, right on schedule. Selah's smile flickered for just a moment before she recovered, rising to greet them. Leah, darling, I was worried you wouldn't make it after our disagreement. Wouldn't miss it, Leah said coldly, then turned to the assembled guests. Have you met Sarah? She's a fascinating person, specializes in real estate fraud. The room quieted slightly. Valentin appeared at Selah's side, his hand tight on her arm. Perhaps we should start the toasts, he suggested. Wonderful idea. I stood up, raising my glass. I'd like to go first. Selah's face drained of color. That's not on the program. Oh, but I insist. I moved to the center of the room. After all, what kind of cousin would I be if I didn't congratulate you on your achievements? The room fell silent. All eyes on me. Vivian, my mother warned softly. It's okay, Mom. I'm just going to share some interesting documents with everyone. I nodded to Sarah, who began distributing folders to the investors. Consider it my wedding gift. Security, Selah called out, but Leah was already blocking the door. Let's start with these emails, I continued, my voice carrying across the stunned room. Detailed plans to forge documents, manipulate my family, and steal my home for Valrum's development project. Valentine stepped forward. These are private business matters. Fraud is never private, Sarah interjected. Neither is forgery, which brings us to Exhibit B, the falsified complaints and permits, complete with unauthorized notary stamps from Selah's father. Selah's father stood up, face red. Now wait just a minute. The ethics board is very interested in your involvement, Sarah added smoothly. They'll be in touch. You're ruining everything, Selah shrieked, lunging for the folders. But Jace was faster, already passing copies to the board members. Like you tried to ruin my life? I asked. The threats? The brick through my window? The break-in? Gasps rippled through the crowd. Valentine's sister stood up. The police have been notified, she announced. About everything. Val, do something, Selah pleaded. But Valentine was busy reading the documents, his face growing darker with each page. You told me her family agreed to sell, that everything was legal. It was just business, Selah protested. A simple property acquisition. Simple? I pulled out my phone, playing the security footage Leah had given me. Selah's voice filled the room. After the rehearsal dinner, it won't matter anymore. What were you planning? Valentine demanded. What happens after dinner? Selah's silence was damning. Her father broke it. The demolition crew is scheduled for midnight, he admitted. We thought if the house was already down, you were going to destroy my home? Tonight? My voice cracked. While everyone was celebrating your wedding? The room erupted in chaos. Investors stormed out. Board members huddled in corners. Family members argued loudly. Through it all, Selah stood frozen, her perfect world crumbling. The development deal is off, Valentin announced. And so is the wedding. But the deposits? The contracts? Selah's voice was small. Are void due to fraud, Sarah supplied helpfully, as is the eviction notice. My mother approached Selah slowly. How could you do this? To family? Because she never cared about family, I said quietly. Only power, control, getting what she wants no matter who she hurts. Selah's composure finally broke. You think you've won? You've ruined everything I worked for. No, I touched my grandmother's locket. You did that yourself. Every lie, every scheme, every betrayal. That was all you. The police arrived then, asking questions, taking statements. I watched as Selah's carefully constructed facade crumbled completely. The house is yours, my father said, hugging me tight. It always was. We forgot what family really means. Later, standing outside the restaurant, Paisley squeezed my hand. How does it feel? I looked at the night sky, thinking of my grandmother's photograph. Like justice, like home. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Leah. Board meeting tomorrow. Val Ram's pulling out of all neighborhood developments. You did it. Justice indeed. But watching Selah being escorted to a police car, mascara streaking her cheeks, I felt no joy in her destruction. Only relief that my home, my family's legacy, was safe at last. The morning sun streamed through my newly repaired window as I sipped coffee on my front porch. The newspaper headline caught my eye. Valram Development faces investigation. CEO steps down. Below it, a smaller headline. Local woman charged with fraud, criminal conspiracy. My phone rang. Leah. Have you seen the news? Just reading it now. How are you holding up? Better than expected. The board appointed me interim CEO. Turns out exposing corruption has its perks. A car pulled into my driveway. My parents. Mom carried a large box while Dad lugged what looked like photo albums. I'll call you back, I told Leah. Mom set the box down carefully. We've been going through the attic, found some things that belong here. Inside were pieces of my grandmother's life. Her journals, recipes, old letters. Dad opened one of the albums, pointing to a yellowed photograph. That's her. The day she bought this house. Said it was the proudest moment of her life. Until you were born, Mom added softly. She always wanted you to have it. The screen door creaked open as Paisley emerged with more coffee. Look who just pulled up. A police car parked across the street. Officer Martinez approached, holding a document. Ms. Harding, we've recovered some items from Selah's office, things she took from your house. He handed me a folder. Also thought you should know. She's agreed to a plea deal. Full confession. Thank you, I said, taking the folder. Inside were old photographs she'd stolen years ago, claiming they'd been lost. The DA wants to know if you'll testify about the harassment, Officer Martinez added. I looked at my repaired window, remembering the brick, the threats, the fear. Yes, I will. He nodded and left. Mom touched one of the recovered photographs. Your 5th birthday, she said. Selah was so jealous of your party, she threw cake at you. We should have seen the signs back then. We all missed the signs, I said. But we can't change the past. Jace's truck rumbled up the street, Valentine surprisingly in the passenger seat. They carried construction supplies. Before you say anything, Jace called out. He volunteered. Valentine set down a paint can. I owe you. We all do. Let me help restore what we almost destroyed. I studied him for a moment, then nodded. Start with the back porch. It needs new railings. The day unfolded like a healing breath. While Jace and Valentine worked on repairs, Mom and I sorted through grandmother's belongings. Paisley organized a neighborhood potluck on the lawn. Even Leah stopped by, bringing corporate documents showing Valram's new commitment to historic preservation. The board wants to establish a fund, she explained, to help homeowners restore historic properties instead of demolishing them. Karma works in mysterious ways, Paisley mused. As evening approached, neighbors gathered on my lawn, sharing food and stories. Mrs. Rodriguez from next door brought her famous empanadas. Your grandmother loved these, she told me. She hosted dinners like this all the time. The house was always full of people, full of life. I touched my locket, thinking of the photograph inside. Maybe it's time to restart that tradition. Dad raised his glass. To new beginnings. And old foundations, Mom added. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Plea deal finalized. Selah's serving time. The house is officially safe. Looking around at my gathered family, friends, and neighbors, I realized something. This house wasn't just walls and windows, not just a property to be saved. It was a home, alive with memories and possibilities. You know, Paisley said, your birthday's coming up again. No surprise parties this time. I laughed. No, she agreed. But maybe a housewarming to celebrate properly? I watched Jace and Valentine arguing good-naturedly about porch designs, Mom sharing grandmother's recipes with neighbors. Dad telling stories about the house's history to enthralled listeners. "I'd like that," I said. A fresh start. The evening wind carried the scent of blooming jasmine, grandmother's favorite. She'd planted it along the fence years ago, and like the house itself, it had endured. To fresh starts, I raised my glass, and to coming home. The gathered crowd echoed the toast, their voices mixing with crickets and distant wind chimes. This was what Sela never understood, what no development plan could capture. The heart of a home, beating strong through generations. I sat on my porch steps, surrounded by love and laughter, knowing that while the battle for my house was over, the story of this home was just beginning. And this time, every page would be filled with joy, not fear. With welcome, not walls. With family, the kind you're born to and the kind you choose. This was my legacy, my victory, my peace. And it was beautiful.